Usually we will start at 9, but we will wait another 10 more minutes until the hall is a bit more filled up. Then we can start the event. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, on this auspicious Saturday morning, I would like to thank everyone for their attendance. You know, it's quite a lot of people, and it's an enthusiastic attendance. Okay. For this event, it's actually part of the professional practice community event that is being held by PAM. We want to introduce people to the architectural industry. Okay? So it's called JITU, Journey into the Unknown, the Architectural Practice. Yeah. The objective of this event is to bring people together from all parts of the industry to share their experiences and the challenges to navigate their own architectural practice, or those who are planning to start. Okay? And hopefully by the end of the session, we can have like a lively discourse, have some heated discussion on the challenges and the current trends, and then learn something from it. Okay. Before we start this event, I would like to request everyone to stand up to sing Negaraku, just to honor the upcoming 67th Merdeka celebrations. Okay, so please, everyone. Okay, right. Before we start this event, just a reminder to everyone here in this hall, please scan your QR code outside before to claim your 4 CPD points. So you have to quickly. Okay, so AR Dexter.
Selamat pagi, a very good morning, and welcome to PAM Center, the home of Malaysian architects, and whose mission is to promote the advancement of architecture and the architectural profession for the betterment of society. And welcome to the seminar JITU, or Journey into the Unknown, the Architectural Practice. It is a pleasure to see so many enthusiastic faces here today, all eager to hear our panelists sharing their experiences and challenges of the journey of setting up their practices. Architecture is the field that not only shapes our physical environment, but also influences our daily lives in profound ways. Our studies and professional experiences prepare us to become architects, equipping us with the skills and knowledge necessary to design and create spaces that inspire. It is a natural progression for those who find the challenge appealing, but it's also a path filled with uncertainties and questions. How do you start your practice? What are the essential considerations? How do you juggle the myriad variables that come with running a business? These are the questions we aim to address today. Starting your own architectural practice is akin to embarking on a journey into the unknown, hence the theme and title of today's seminar. There is no guaranteed formula for success, but there are lessons to be learned from those who have walked this path before us and also those after us. Today we have the privilege of hearing from young practitioners who have been in practice for less than 5 years, who have taken the leap and are here to share their experiences and challenges. Their stories will provide valuable insights and practical advice for those of you considering setting up your own practice in the future. As we delve into these topics today, I encourage you to listen actively, ask questions, and engage in conversations. This seminar is not just about imparting knowledge, but also about fostering a community of like-minded individuals who can support each other on their respective journeys. Share your thoughts, experiences, and aspirations with your peers. You never know what valuable connections or insights you might gain. In conclusion, setting up your own architecture practice is a bold and rewarding endeavor. It requires courage, determination, and a willingness to embrace the unknown. But with the right mindset, preparation, and support, it is a journey that can lead to incredible personal and professional growth. I hope today's seminar inspires you and provides you with the tools and confidence to take the next step in your architectural career. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to the insightful discussions and exchanges that will take place today. So let's embark on this journey into the unknown together and explore the limitless possibilities that lie ahead. Before I end my address, I would like to thank the organizing team of PPC Chair, Architect Mufti, and also Moderator, Architect Sacha Nordin, for their tireless efforts, and also the panelists, Architect Adhil, Kamal, Architect Twan, Architect Oscar Tan, Architect Rosnizal, Baharu, Architect Nuradelin Ahmed, and Architect Farhana Muhammad Noor, Architect Yong Leng Chee, and Architect BCC, for their participation and contribution. And last but not least, on behalf of PAM, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to Dongji Malaysia Sdn Bhd for generously supporting today's CPD event. Can we give them a big round of applause, please? So I will take my leave and let the show begin, and hope you have a fruitful Saturday morning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, A.R. Dexter, for the really inspiring speech. Next, we would like to invite our event sponsor, Miss Melissa from Pentons, to give a short presentation on their latest products. Okay. Please come to the stage.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Melissa from Pentons. Today, I would like to present to you the flooring solution for data center, raised floor and anti-static flooring system. Okay, I'll start my presentation with our company profile. Then next, I'll introduce our raised floor system. Next, I'll move on to introduce our anti-static epoxy floor system, and lastly, I'll show some project references. Okay, our group, DJI Group, was established in year 1989 as a manufacturer of construction chemicals, including waterproofing and flooring, both epoxy and PU. And then these are our distribution center that currently we have in Asia Pacific and Middle East. And our two main regional technical support center is in Malaysia and Taiwan. Our product been through the local serum test and also certified with Bombard Class O certificate, Singapore Green Label, and also our product been certified with this US SES Floor Score certificate, which can direct comply with the LEED requirement. Okay, next I'll start to introduce the raised floor system. Okay, raised floor are types of floor that provide an elevated structure to create the hidden voids for the passage of mechanical and electrical services for data center. And these are raised floor system widely used in office building and also a specialized area like data center, command center, server room, and computer rooms. And raised floor system can be installed from the height 35 mm to above 1 meter to suit different services. Okay, often HPL panel series was used in a data center. HPL is the high pressure laminated with anti-static tiles finish. So this system can be used for data center, server room, and then these are computer room, control room as well. Okay, the panel consists of a bottom steel panel, then a lightweight cementitious infill, Then the top finish is the top seal panel with anti-static HPL finish. And the system comes together with the flathead pedestal, stringer. The HPL panel series we have from FS 800 to FS 1500, depends on different design load needs. The types of panel, cementitious infused steel HPL panel, and the height is from 75 mm to 1 meter. Dimension per panel is 600 x 600 with a thickness of 35 mm. The weight per panel is 14 kg. For this HPL panel series, FS 1000 is commonly used for data center with the concentrated load of 454 kg and uniform load of 13 kilonewton per meter square. So this is the ideal anti-static or the conductive discharge rate for this anti-static raised floor or the epoxy flooring system. So ideal range is in between 10 to the power of 5 to 10 to the power of 8. So Panther's raised floor system, the discharge rate is in between 10 to the power of 5 to 10 to the power of 10. Okay, after the installation of this raised floor system, as we walk across the floor, the friction generate the static. And these anti-static floor dissipate the charge safely through the copper stripes, conductive PVC, and to the steel pedestal, and finally to the ground. And next, I'll introduce the types of airflow panel. We have the normal perforated panel, and then this second is the aluminium die-cast panel, and we have the air grill panel. Panther's airflow panel features a high load capacity, guaranteed airflow, fire resistant, and the panel is lightweight. The perforated panel, the open ratio is from 25% to 55%. The top finish for this perforated panel is epoxy powder coat. Dimension per panel is 600 x 600 with the thickness of 35 mm. The weight per panel is 8 kg. And it can be installed with or without the control damper. Aluminium die-cast panel with the open ratio of 50 or 55%. The top finish of the panel is HPL aluminium die-cast. The dimension per panel is 600 x 600 with a thickness of 50 or 55 mm. It also can install with or without the control damper. Next, the air grill type. Open ratio is 55% up to 68%. The top finish is aluminium grill. The dimension also similar. Per panel is 600 x 600 with a thickness of 52 mm. Okay, other accessory for raised floor, we need the PE foam for the data center as the data center run aircon 24 hours. So this is to prevent the condensation. And the PE foam comes together with the aluminum foil. So it has fire resistant properties. And other, we have the power box, the brush, which is the grommet, double cup lifter, which is to lift up the panel, and then the cable outlet box. Also, this is the control damper for the perforated panel or air grill panel, PVC skirting. Other accessory like ramp and the step with the anti-slip rubber mat. Okay, next, the anti-static epoxy flooring, which is the other alternative for the data center. The Panther's types of anti-static epoxy floor, we have the cell leveling anti-static epoxy, solvent-based anti-static epoxy coating, and also water-based anti-static epoxy coating. These anti-static flooring can be used for electronic factory or industry, wafer and PC component production area, synthetic fiber mills, and also factory that process or handle the combustible goods. So Panthen's cell-leveling anti-static epoxy floor system, the thickness for this system is 1.8 mm. So the system starts up with a layered primer using Panthen's E008, and then continue with the copper stripe installation. Then we have the anti-static sealer coat using Panthen's E502AS, and the top layer is 1.8 mm thick of Panthen's E601AS. Okay, this is an anti-static coating system with the thickness of about 0.3 mm. So the system starts out with a layer primer, then the copper grounding stripe, then we have the anti-static sealer coat, which is Panthen's E502AS, and then follow with 2 layers of anti-static coating using Panthen's E603AS. And next we have the water-based anti-static epoxy coating system. The system also, the sequence of application also similar, just the finishing layer is different, which is using Panthen's E620AS. Okay, lastly, I'd like to show some project references. We have Dell Data Center, PGS Data Center in Cyberjaya, NTT CBJ 3 and 4 in Cyberjaya, and then we have the NTT CBJ 5 and 6, CX2 Data Center in Cyberjaya, CJ1 is Cyberjaya, KBDC at Cyberjaya, CJ2 and 3 recent completed in Cyberjaya. And next, our ongoing project, the Exim Data Center in Bukit Jalil. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Melissa and Panthen's, for the presentation. Okay, now the part that you're all waiting for. We would like to introduce all the speakers on the stage. We can start the event officially now. Okay. Yeah. Please come up to the stage and be seated. Do you want to? I can introduce, or you want to introduce? Okay. That's it. Okay, starting from, I think counterclockwise would be Miss Adhil, and then next would be, okay, I think because this is a architecture, firm, I mean, it's related to architectural firm, so I would go with Miss Adila, Miss Fatma Adila, and then AR Chee Twan, AR Oscar Tan, counterclockwise, AR Rosnizal, AR Nuradelin, and AR Farhana, which they are in a body corporate together, and then a partnership of AR Yong Chee and also AR Chee. They are partners, and with the partnership. Okay. So the first, we would like to have them introduce themselves, as well as maybe some short introduction on their firm as well. Okay, AR Adlin, please start.
Assalamualaikum, good morning. I'm actually I'm actually part of a partnership and also a sole prop. So my partnership is Adha Architects. Sole prop is Adhil, Arkitek Adhil Kamal. Next. Oh, okay. Yeah, next. Yes, thank you very much. Which one? Okay. This button? Okay. We have two offices, like sole prop is registered in Melawati, Taman Melawati. My partnership is in Bachok, Kelantan. We are also running the Adha in KL as well. It's not really, okay. It's just Adha's visions and then about our deal. So we split up our practice. So for partnership, we aim for the bigger projects, go to partnership, and then whatever that is smaller, like house renovations and submissions and interior design will go to our deal. So that's how I split up the practices. Okay, our services, other than the architectural parts, we do like offer drone mapping, beam classes. That's what our focus in Bachok is as well. Okay, this is my partner, A.R. Hazwan Hamidi. I think some of you know him very well. I'm the hidden partner. And okay, so for our projects, for Adha, mostly right now it's doing competitions. So this is like Ria Future, next retirement home at Serdang. Mostly it's competitions. E-curve redevelopment, and it's not really going well. Okay, Putrajaya Bang. Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. Putrajaya Banglo, this is currently ongoing. So for this case, it's like Adha is doing the whole architectural part, and then Aradil is doing the ID. So that's how we split up. Okay, next. Next. And then we had a Rembau cow plantation with a retreat house. Next. And also like this is under Aradil, so we did an office interior decorations. I think that's all. We can pass to the next panel.
Okay, hi, I'm Twan. I just set up my practice 2 years, I think in year 2022. This was my last office, and then after that, we actually come out and I set up my own practice. And I mean, this is just sharing my journey. So I started off looking for cafes to start my work. I think it was kind of a journey to me because all my life I have been working in a corporate company, and for me to actually come out just sharing, sometimes you need to enjoy, and I do enjoy this kind of lifestyle that I have now. So I can be very mobile. I can actually work in a cafe with just a laptop and a good coffee. Okay. So, but of course, we do need an office. So I look for a small office. This is 800 square feet. So currently my office is based here in Mount Kiara. So I was doing the renovation. First thing, I changed the ceiling to black. And after that, within 2 months, actually, I have my office opening. So it was just a cozy opening with a lion dance. After that, we have our first supplier presentation in our office within the same week. Then I'm flying off. So it is actually just to show that architectural practice nowadays, it can be very mobile. So I fly off to meetings, and then I'm off for 1 week. Then we did a project launch in Penang. So this was my project in Penang. Then we came back again, my first consultant meeting in our office with engineers. So luckily they are all with the mask. So it was still post-pandemic at that time. Yeah, then I'll be signing drawings in, it can be in anywhere, not in my office. Coffees, Then I start to feel that I start out with 2 people. Then after that, I realized I need more people, so we start to hire. So we have 3 people, and then go with actually 4. But then I feel like to fit the whole screen, I probably need about 10. So I copy and paste. And I feel that was my target actually, to actually have a firm of 10 people to be a good size. Then we fly again to Penang to look at the first hoarding of our project. So this project is opposite the airport, and I feel that sometimes it's the job that actually calls us, and not that we go and look for a job. And with that, I feel that it's time for me to come out and start my own. I come back, so now I have 4 people with first client meeting in my office. So it's just a small meeting room, but we can fit in about 10 tables. Okay. Second project in Langkawi. So this is rendering, it's a beachfront. And then we start to have more jobs, more hospitality job. This one is another hotel. Then about last year, I have about 7 people. Okay, so this year I haven't do my slides yet. I haven't been snapping a lot of photos, but I hope I can still continue to grow, and maybe in another couple of years I will be here again to share my progress. Okay, thank you.
Good morning. All right. OTCQ Architects is pretty young. It's about slightly more than 2 years. And obviously, OT is me, Oscar Tang, and CQ is Cheryl Kwan. And we set up in very, very small office, and it's still housed within my house aid. Right? I only have 3 slides, so every slide I will spend a bit more time. All right. So the backdrop is actually my house, and it's also the base for OTCQ. So that's where we started. Right. I actually map out a little bit of timelines, and that's how we started. In fact, we are blessed. We're truly blessed, and in the sense that we put out our house aid. It actually completed in October 2018, and we never thought that we're going to move along that line. So until year 2020, 2 years later, then eventually the house is featured in the books and social medias. That's where we start to get attentions. And then we have inquiries. And in May 2021, after working in corporate for more than 15 years, I find it's really, really tiring. And I asked Cheryl, do you think that it's time for me to step out instead? Because it is MCOs, everything is uncertain, and the timing is that just 2021, then we decided that let's try it, May 2021. So we started in established the Oscar Tang Arkitek. And you see that what I'm trying to show to you is that young architects or even young setups is never a flower bed, right? So in December 2021, in fact, there's a lot of inquiries, and we actually put out 12 fee proposals. And eventually we got 6 appointments. That's pretty good percentage, about 50%. But end up it's only 4 projects really bring on to constructions. And in fact 2 stops. So that's life, right? So and eventually year 2022, then we have 14 fee proposals, 8 appointments, but eventually 5 builds, 3 stops. So by March 2023, we actually completed retail galleries in Star Hills, and there's another part of our branch is actually we like to mingle, so we really like to connect with younger generations. So we start out these cross sections. That's where the signs there is actually designed. This logo designed by my team, my staff as well. So empower them to do up to own something. So we start this cross section. It's basically a platforms that we can collaborate with practitioners, designers, not necessarily architects. We believe that architecture is more than just architects. So we actually collaborate with artists, designers, even landscape designers, photographers, and we had sharings and just makan-makans, and then we share and seminars and talk about it. And July 2023, we completed another house in Auckland Roads, and that's on and on and on. So the focus is here. It's really not a flower bed, right? So up to December 2023, it says we have about 2.5 years there. We actually sent out 45 fee proposals, and eventually we got on 23 appointments. I think it's quite a good rate. But if you look at the really projects that's moving on, is literally is only about 26.6%. That is real life, right? That's real life. So whoever tries to step out, you have to be prepared. It's not about taking 3 appointments, then you say, okay, then I'm secure, right? So this is learning from experience, right? So eventually, January 2024, we have enough projects completed, and April, then we have enough projects completed, and June 2023 is every half yearly we actually organize these cross sections. So the second cross section we actually move down to Tanjong Sepat, and the third cross section we move on to Moa. We also take that as an opportunity to bring our teams around to see that it is happening. Young designers or young setups, small setups can be very vibrant. So we move around to collaborate with the partners with different locations. Tanjong Sepat, we collaborate with House, and in Moa, we collaborate with Kawans. And in fact, Moa session is very, very interesting. We have a lot of artists around as well. So that gives us a little bit more belief that architecture is beyond just the buildings, right? So moving on to October 2024, we are trying to move on to Sdn Bhd. We are setting out Mukabumi. The reason why we set out, name it as Mukabumi, there's another story. I'm not going to elaborate too far from that. But coming up December, we have another cross section in Georgetown. This time around, we actually collaborate with landscape designers. It's not even a licensed landscape designer, just by passions that, yeah. So all in, this is what we believe. Sustainable architecture is, if you look at sustainable architecture, we are talking about how green your building is, but to us, it's really about how much we can recycle. So you look at all this data, in fact, we are contributing about 29% of global energies, right, and carbon emissions. And 28% of that is operational emission, 11% of that is materials and construction. So to us, if you really talk about green, it's really about passive design and adaptive reuse. Stop building unnecessarily. So up to October 2024, we have 5 greenfield projects, 12 brownfields, and the areas, these are all data. But the beauty of it is this. So the original area GFA that we demolished is only about 30%, right? And we actually increase the new and recycle the GFA up to 147% of our new and recycled percent. Green, I think we still need a lot more efforts, because by that we need to increase by 1.9%. So that sums up in who we are and what we are doing, and hoping that eventually moving on we can be better in these figures. Right? Thank you.
All right, Assalamualaikum and very good morning, everyone. Actually, I have a lesser slide than Oscar. It's just 2 slides today. But basically, I would like to share today is how we started. I started my practice basically back in 2018. And then back then, we don't have any connection, you know. I'm starting from scratch. When I work with my previous boss, I didn't have any access to the clients. So, you know, basically I start like from zero. So I start to go out and tell my friends, the architect friends, that, you know, I'm starting my own. And if you have any opportunity, you know, even the smallest submission, I will do it, you know. And then I start to spread the word through, you know, alumni of my previous school, and telling my previous clients, you know, the project managers and everything, that I started my own. And then the first year of practice is only 2 of us. It's me and my associate Fikri. We're doing a lot of renovation submissions and small bungalows. And then I think for 2 people, you know, with that skill of project is kind of okay, you know, to survive. But then we start thinking, you know, whether we should hire more people in order to expand. And the first staff that I'm hiring was my draftman. So I have more time to go out and look for more jobs. And then from there, there are other friends who are working with developers, you know, asking us to come up with a proposal. And then with 3 people, I'm a bit difficult to propose, you know, with the scale of project that they wanted, and it is too big for us. We have to let go that project. And then slowly, the renovation project and bungalow projects are getting more. During the second year of my practice, I think we have more than 20 projects at that time. The fee is not that great, but I think because we have volume at that time, and for the scale of my office that time, we're doing quite well at that time, okay? And then there was one turning point where this previous, my associate's connection, through my associate connection, they asked us to come up with a proposal, and I think at that time, I need to do it. And then I start investing on talents. I hired 2 more designers to do it. At the same time, we're still doing all those small jobs. And then, Alhamdulillah, we managed to make it through, and the project was kicked off, and that's our first big strike during my early stage of my practice. Okay, to date, we have 14 people in our office. And Alhamdulillah, we survived through MCO. And I'm not going to talk too detail on the project, but there are some compilation of project we have here. At the moment, we have quite a handful of terrace houses development in KL and in Perak, as well as in Negeri Sembilan. And there are few religious structure, or to be specific, surau and masjids going on also. And we're also doing some government project in Selayang under municipal. Apart from that, there are also one high-rise project that we are working on at the moment. And when I look back, started with just a renovations project, and after 5 years' time, we managed to have, you know, like high-rise project and some master planning project. I think for young architect, it's not impossible. You know, you have just to be confident, and then it's required a perseverance throughout your journey. And it's really a risk-taking business. I think most business are risk-taking business, you know. So, yeah, I think that's just some introduction about my office. Okay, thank you very much.
Hello, good morning. I'm Nuradelin Ahmed, and this is my partner Farhana Muhammad Noor. You can call us Adhil and Farah. We're from NARA Arkitek Sdn Bhd. Okay, a bit of background about ourselves. Both of us actually graduated from the University of Malaya in 2008 and 2009. Back then, even though we studied at the same School of Architecture, we didn't really talk to each other because we didn't really know each other back then. But upon graduation, we started to work at JLC Arkitek under direct guidance of architect Gundi Chin. We had worked under her guidance for about 15 years, and then I got my part 3 in 2015, and when Farhana got hers in 2023, we decided to form NARA Arkitek Sdn Bhd together with A.R. Gun as part of a move to expand the sole proprietor company, JLC Arkitek, to expand it, and also as part of our career advancement. However, about 2 weeks before our official date of operation, Architect Gun had passed away. So it's just us left managing NARA Architects and Berhad. Okay, this is our team. We have a small team of different races and different backgrounds and also different age, different generations. We have those from baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, and also Gen Z. So I think it's great that we have different kinds of backgrounds because the way we think is different. We're happy with the small team that we have currently. This is our studio where we operate. It's located in Taman Tun Dr. Ismail, KL. It's actually an old house that has been renovated into an architect studio. So as you can see, most of the structure was left intact. What we did was just change the facade. And we also designed it in such a way where, let's say in the future, wanted to use it back as a house, we could still do it. The facade is made out of burnt bricks with some openings to allow light going through into the building, but at the same time it gives privacy and security to us, and it also allows a sense of curiosity to passers-by. We also always see people, they will stop down and take some photos, and along the years, we also found a few houses, just a few houses down the road. They also built something like what we had here. Okay. This is the interior of our office. The ground floor, we have our management room on the ground floor and administration. Upper floors, we have our production team, and also a place where we could chill on the uppermost floor. We also have a balcony that overlooks a great view of Taman Tun. You could actually see Wan Utama from there. It's where we heal most of the time, we're stressed out. Okay, our projects we include housing development, high-rise, condo, private residences, shop offices, factories, and warehouse. We also have some special buildings in the works. So just to show a few of our projects, this is one of the projects that we got directly under NARA Architects. It's a private residence, a renovation of a semi-D. That's the before picture and the after one, after the design that we did for them. It's in Bukit Damansara. It's a work in progress, commencing soon. This is another project. It's a housing in Teluk Bulai in Klang. We also do condominium, a high-rise condominium, 940 units at OUG, almost finishing, maybe end of the year. This is a collab work with KDA. This is one of the special buildings that we're currently also working on. It's not your typical housing building. We also have projects in Malacca. This is one of our oldest clients, Country Villas Resort. We started from an empty land with them, and then now I think we have about six, 7 phases. Yeah.
It's almost 10 years project already, but the photos is actually the current projects lah, which is under NARA we are doing right now. Okay, this is also one the Country Villas Resorts. This is an office for them. They have a pool for their staff. Right. Okay, so that's all about us.
Okay, follow us on this journey. Thank you. You can just scan the QR code to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. We are LCSC Architects. We are a partnership. We have formed our office right after the first pandemic closed down. So in 2020. My background is I'm from a interior and architectural firm, Lina Vista, and then my partner is from S61. So when we are start up that time, we are not so daring. Actually, we work part-time and while we start up. So because due to the pandemic, so everyone changing their perspective towards an architectural office should be. So actually we do not have an office because I think maybe some of them, everyone know that we are actually husband and wife. So actually we have our own home office that time. And then, okay, then the time we start out with our first project. So actually we start up, we have our first facade project completed. So from this point onward, we start to have more other project coming in. Okay, yeah. Okay. So both of us are from the same uni. So we have been working together since our uni time. So which has been more than 15 years, yeah. Then, so usually what we do is we are doing more on the niche and small scale project from installation, facade, some private residential, industrial, food hall. So currently we are more focused on the ecotourisms, some hospitalities and community landscape and heritage conservations. So this is the facade project that we have been completed. So we are towards more like fun type of, we understand that like the client, what client needs, it can be fun and exciting, but and at the same time it can be very cost efficient. So I believe that's our expertise is, and also that's why the client like to look for us. Okay, this is a project at Kajang. Maybe.
Okay, this is to show some of the context we work in. This is a pavilion in an orchard in Broga. So we work a lot in the rural context. So this is another visitor center in Titi. We just came back from Titi, Kuala Kerawang. I think many people doesn't know where Titi is. I mean, it was mentioned in the textbook, in the geography textbook many years ago. Driest place in the world, in Malaysia. So this is a visitor center. Apart from that, we do have some, we are working on some feasibility for hospitality projects. These are some of the sketches, and this is to show some of the medium we work with. We work with we try to use very basic tools, so it doesn't overload the computer. Okay, like even sketches, SketchUp. Other work that we work on are urban conservation, and I'm trying to get a bank to conserve this building in my hometown. Still trying to do that. So this is a continuity from a conservation course that I took under Getty Institute. Apart from that, some project that we help some NGO to design a community park at the PPR in KL. So this is we are trying to improve accessibility for the park, for the people living there. So we just had our first community engagement last week. So our client are elderly people, OKU, and single mothers. So those are the three groups we engaged last week. So these are some of the things that we do. The non-typical things. Okay, that's all.
Okay, we're done with the introduction of the panelists. So we can now start with the part one of the forum discussion, which is the essential items needed in a design firm. Okay, so I would like to introduce our moderator for the event, AR Sacha Nordin, to lead this discussion, to take over from now on. Right. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Morning, panelists.
Morning.
Are you ready for grilling?
Yes.
I was a little bit taken aback by the title of the talk. It says, Journey into the Unknown. I Googled it up a little bit earlier, and it describes a horror series in 1968, I think. First off, at the top of my head is the journey into your own practice. Is it part of a horror series? Is it that fearful? I mean, is it such an event that it has to be described as something that might lead to our eventual deaths? It's so dramatic, today's title. But is it really the case? I want to start off with this first. It's a little bit light-hearted question, but can any of you answer me? Is it really that difficult a question, or is it that difficult a step to take? Anybody care to take up this question?
I think the fear come later. When it started off, it was excitement. Then slowly, when the pocket depleted, then that's the fear come in. So that's the unknown part. The unknown part come in later. That's what I think.
Okay, as for my case, it was an interesting story. I was promised a different, got an offer, a very outstanding offer to open up a firm with existing clients, existing architects, and then upon entering, I realized whatever the offer was totally different. So that was the scary part. I entered for one day, we sit down and then rediscuss all the terms. And I went back, I didn't sleep for the whole night. I was doing all the calculations. Okay, I'm gonna be on the losing end no matter what. So the next day, next morning, straight away, I went and I said, okay, I'm gonna back off. And then at that point of time, I already resigned. So mine was a really journey to the unknown. Okay. So in the end, I told myself, okay, it's at the end of the year, I'm just gonna take 1 month off, think about it. I had a few options ready, which is either to go back to my previous firm. I called up my previous clients in the developer. They were willing to appoint me as well. And another one is I can look for another job, or I just take it as a sign that this is the starting point to open up a firm. And then I did my istikharah, and I made my prayer, and then I thought, I've got the answer. Okay, let's just try. If anything, I can just go back. I have other options. I'll just jump into the lake, see where it takes me.
Very brave of you.
Yes.
I think all of us begin this journey based on our own set of experiences. All of us have a different beginning. What we have on the screen is a series of general questions that any businessman takes up. Ultimately, as a practice owner, you're also a business person because you're embarking on an enterprise. If you could care to look at the screen in front of us, we're going to have 2 sessions today. So this first session is a little bit light. We're going to have a break later on, and when we come back, we're going to deep dive into some of the more pertinent questions. So what you see in front of us is a series of generic questions on how to start a business. Just to remind you, the panelists today we have 4 sole proprietors, is that correct? 2 body corporates, and we have 1 partnership. On the base of general statistics, when I checked on Lembaga's website, at the moment we have 50 multidisciplinary offices in Malaysia. We have 398 body corporates in Malaysia, 89 partnerships, 1,149 sole proprietorships. So that is the environment upon which all of you operate upon. So when you start off your business, looking at the screen in front of you, were you so structured as to be able to come up with these questions that you see for you to continue your journey, or was it a kind of a dive into the lake, as Adhil was mentioning?
For me, it's a total dive into the lake. I just scrambled whatever that I can based on experiences. Luckily, I was close to my previous bosses, so I did meet with them and then got their advice. And I also met with the clients and got their perspective. I had friends who are already in business, not architecture related, like fashion, fabric. So I got their idea of business from them. I learned from it, even contractors, design and build contractors as well. So it was not like from step A to Z in order. It will be like jumping from A, then you go to Z, and then you go back to M, and then that's how you pick up and learn whatever that you need at that point of time for your business to grow.
Twan, if I may ask you, after many cups of coffees, and I would imagine you're a coffee aficionado, did you actually, you worked for 15 years in your introduction?
16.
16 years.
Yeah, 16 years.
Did you have a time sitting in those cafes, figure out, for example, did you determine your business plan? Did you define your niche? Did you do a competitive analysis? Did you do any of these things at the level of starting a business when you wanted to venture into your own practice?
Actually, back to your, I mean, it's quite related to your first question as well. It is a scary path before you set up. I'll say that the thought of stepping out, I mean, from our comfort zone, that thought itself was scary for the past few years. But then it was, I think two factors actually affected me. One is actually age. When you're looking at, I was actually at the age of 39 when I decided to set up my own practice. So, you know, like the thought of by the time 40, you know, what should I achieve and what do I want to achieve by the age of 50? So that actually helped me to decide whether I should stay on in my first company or to set up my own. The second one was actually the pandemic itself. To me, the unknown was there during pandemic. We don't know when it will stop and when we can actually come out again. And we find that all the norm that we actually been through, especially my last 16 years, no longer valid. You no longer have to follow the same sequence. And that actually helped me to decide that actually there's a lot of alternative ways to actually to continue your journey in architecture. And back to your question on whether I've determined my business plan and my niche. I actually look back at what really we are skillful in, and to me, I was actually completing 3 hospitality jobs. I completed 3 hotel jobs at that time. Of course, it's not my effort alone. It was a teamwork, and I know from there I cannot be working alone. I'm not at the age that I'm tech savvy, that I can be using all the new softwares, all those programs. So I definitely need a good team to work with, and that's how actually I scale my business. I look at my past experience to actually embark on and approach clients that will actually want to do something similar that I have completed. In terms of business plan, I do have my like a 3-year plan and a 5-year plan and a 10-year plan. Because even in my previous office, actually I was very close to my boss, my mentor, and we actually did a lot of planning for the company as well. So I am quite familiar with those kind of order books, you know, like projections. And then I realized when you don't have track record, when you're starting on your own, what you projected will not be what you get at the end of the day. So just like I think some of the my peers here, actually, they were sharing, you can go out and tender, submit your proposal for like maybe 10, 20 projects. The conversion rate to me, it was not as high as that 50%. To me, it's only 30%. And out of the 30%, 10% will drop off. So you basically only have about 20%. And I sort of like churning out, I think the first year I churned out about 30 RFPs. Then on average, I think the second year I'm like going about 40 RFPs. So every month I'm submitting about 1.5 new proposals, and that's the volume that we need to do in order to get that few jobs for us to sustain.
And it's unpaid RFPs, I'm sure.
I would say that a lot of pitching job definitely is unpaid, but we also don't go until the extent that we go for renderings and all those. We will just do some simple sketch, and then we have some numbers for them. So we try to keep it, the clients that we also talk to, if they want us to do like the normal proposals, we will not go for it, because the probability of getting paid is actually not that high. I would say it's not that high. So to us, it's like we will look for clients that actually have the same kind of understanding. They just want to know whether it's feasible or not. So to me, it's not so much on the full design proposal, but more on conceptual feasibility studies to them.
I think later on when we go to the next session after our break, one of the things I'd like to talk a little bit more about is this cross-financing within the office. Because you always have paid jobs, and then at the same time you also have to raise RFPs. And I think there will always be this golden ratio. How much do you actually allocate to run RFPs versus the amount of resources that you get to run the jobs that you have? I think I will leave that to the second session. Oscar, you seem to be the most statistically minded of the lot. You've come very loaded with the numbers of your experience, based on your experience in your own office. You've even now, I saw, started to embark on a new prospect, I think October 2024. Being the sort of person that I imagine you to be, looking at the information you proposed, were you as organized as what you see there, looking at the organization of an office? Did you look at any of these things?
Actually, I'm very, very unorganized person. To be very honest, I think my teams that are working with me, they know that I'm just, I plan for weeks only. Everything I plan is planned for just 1 week. So I start every week, Mondays, then I'll plan the jobs with the teams, and eventually at the end of the days, then that's the end where I start to look at the results. That's how I plan my works. In fact, when I started off my business, to be honest, I don't have any plan. The only plan is I can sustain, I can have enough money to buy milk powder for my newborn. My newborn just, I started off in May, my newborns eventually delivered on December. So that's my plan. I say, okay, my saving is good enough for me to cover for 3 months, right? If by the month of second, if I run in, my savings start to make a loss, then I have to make a decision. But thanks God that everything seems to be quite blessed in a way. So I don't have a lot of plans. So if you ask me all these lists that's going around, to be honest, it never crossed my mind. I'm sorry.
I'm beginning to think that
you.
Us architects, I think we're more to the craft of our work than trying to run a business. I think we always have aspirations of starting a practice because we want to create a vision of how we see architecture.
There's a couple of pull and push factors as well, because the last job of mine is actually attached to developers, and I got really burned out. I feel like I'm not doing what I'm believing in, and of course it pays me well, pay me handsomely, and I don't have to worry about my milk powder's fund, Right. So, but the problem is, spiritually, you know that there's something that's missing. Then you feel that it's just doing mundane jobs and churning out figures.
So Oscar, how old were you when you decided to open your practice?
41, 42.
So we've got 39, right?
When I registered for
When you registered with 40, so 41?
Now I'm 44, so 2.5 years, likely is 41.5.
Adhil, how about you? Huh? 35, the baby. Rosnizal, how old were you when you decided to run your own practice?
I was 30 years old.
Oh,
Yeah.
so far.
Yeah.
Youngest of the lot here.
I passed my examination at the age of 29. So, yeah. And then prior to the examination, actually, I make a very tough decision. I resigned from my office just before the examination. Like,
Before the exam.
Yeah, 1 month to the examination, So this is sort of kamikaze decision and just so and I think I'm trying to put myself into a desperation where I have no other choice. So I have to study hard to make sure I'm passed. And deep down I have a sincere desperation, to get my license and run my own.
So it's make or break. You either get your license, you swim, or you sink.
Yeah. It's either I get my license or I need to, look for other jobs, or business opportunity instead of architecture at that time. And then while waiting for the result to be out, I started a design and build with a friend, so became a contractor. And the first job, we lost 200,000. Yeah, that's an expensive lesson, for us. And then we try to recover and start making profit out of that design and build. So from there, I have some savings. And alhamdulillah, I got my license, So that's when I start to decide, whether to focus on the design and build or, on the consultancy. And initially, I started without a plan also, like the rest, And two profession at a time, contractor and architect, is a bit tough for me. So I tell my partner, I need to step out from the construction and I want to focus on
You
my
just focus on the
consultancy
architecture side,
practice. Yeah.
the service part.
Yeah. Yeah. And during the early stage, even we learn for the examination how to write the fee proposal. But when it comes to the real practice, it's a different thing. So, I start to call friends who just started a business, can you share your fee proposal so that I can refer to? And the first invoice, the same thing, how to
write an invoice, yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody teaches you this. Actually, we don't.
Yeah. That's we're lacking on that part. And then whether I can charge SST or GST back then or not, when I look at my previous office, they charge GST. So, these are the knowledge that we are very lack when we start our business.
I think our education system deals with the ideals of design and practice, but not on the entrepreneur side or the business side of running a practice.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to learn it on the job.
Right.
But a lot of times when you're working with somebody else, your boss is not going to share with you the confidential information.
True.
So when you come out into practice, you're trying to figure things out, on your own.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. Running the works, as in design and everything, is part of our
design is easy.
Yeah.
The enterprise part is a little bit different, a little bit more difficult. I want to just jump to NARA a little bit. Can I correctly say that you inherited a practice?
You could.
I mean, I know you started NARA.
We started.
But your previous boss's practice was already.
It was a sole prop.
A sole prop
firm.
Yeah.
I think it was back in 2018 or 2019. We did found out that she had cancer, so her health. So she wanted to step back a bit. So then she did some treatments, and then along the years we did talk about setting up this firm, this new firm as part of like to expand GLC Arkitek into a Sdn Bhd firm lah. So we partnered up together with Farhana and also Argun at that time last year, 2023. We formed NARA Arkitek Sdn Bhd, so that in case anything happens to GLC Arkitek, you know what happens when the sole proprietor dies?
Yes.
The firm dissolves. So it's
Yes.
part of like, at least we could still go on with our careers.
I think your example is what you call legacy planning happening in full execution. Because if I just extrapolate a lot further, like any soap prop, there will be a time when you need to plan what happens when I'm not around. And this is living proof of a way to manage that transition. I think later on we'll also talk a little bit, sorry to jump in. All of us talk about starting a practice, but nobody really talks about how does it end. And I think we need to start something with an idea of how we're going to end it. Because otherwise we're just going to go blind into a lot of issues later on. Sorry, yes, please continue. So you've inherited an office, and a lot of these things that you see in front, for example, like, you showed your client in Malacca. You've been working with them for more than 10 years.
Yes, yes.
And
So,
it's
yeah.
good that because then you can continue working on the new phases.
Yeah, correct. So let's say, I mean, since 2018, actually, Argun keep asking us what our plan for the next 5 years. On that time, I don't have AR, but I really got too slow. Okay, yeah, and then only after 2023 February when I got my AR, then I informed my Argun, and then she said that okay, just set up the companies. On that time we sit down, three of us. She had a list, So in terms of the name, what the name? So let's say the name should represent three of us. And then she also said that okay, what's our strategy is. On that time, the company is Sopro, and it's non-Bumi company, So we have that strategy. Okay, we firm up the Sdn Bhd, so maybe we want to, try to governments, projects or maybe others, more on varieties of projects lah, Yeah.
But you're wondering whether we inherited everything and we didn't pay anything?
No,
It's
no, I don't think that's the question. I think you already have a market. A lot of times when new practices open, finding a client list, finding a market is the biggest challenge.
Before we start NARA, we inform the client verbally, like said, like Adhil, we inform the client
we told
verbally.
them of our plan, that we are setting up this new firm together, and then they were okay. They said, okay, it's okay. We will support you. So that's why we continued the projects that we currently do.
But
But
on that time, we decided GLC will be the PSP for the project. We'll continue the project,
Okay. I think before, how many more minutes we have until break? I'm going to open up the question to the floor. If there's anything that anybody would like to ask, please. Okay, before I forget, this is a dialogue session, right? It's not a lecture, okay? So if anything or anybody would like to ask questions, please feel free. I would like to make the sessions very, very relaxed and informal, because really this is a chance for any of you, the young practitioners, senior practitioners. If you would like to ask questions, please, there's a mic in the middle. Please come up to the mic and ask your questions. Was there a strategy being, when you guys set up either a sole prop or a partnership or a Sdn Bhd, was there a plan behind why you set it up? I mean, for example, Leng, Chee and Bei, I think you're still a partnership at the moment, right? any aspirations to move into a body corporate, or why did you start off as a partnership?
Because it's faster.
It's faster.
Yeah, faster and cheaper. Because the idea, because at the time after we resigned, there's a project we need to submit. So the process of partnership faster than a body corporate. So when we start off, actually we did seek a lot of advice from fellow friends and mentor. So they give us advice. Okay, what is the faster way? What is the slower way?
Yeah, but my advice is watch out for LHDN.
Yes.
Partnerships, sole props, watch out for LHDN.
We do have a plan to move on to body corporate.
Okay. Rose, so for you, you're still a sole prop right now?
Yeah.
Why remain a sole prop, and is that your preferred practice model?
Actually, same situation. It's a fastest options, to start off with. And at that time, I don't have anyone, wanted to be partner with me. I don't know. Even I don't want to be partner with anyone at that time. Yeah, so, but we have planned to, go into a body corporate by end of this year. Yeah.
Just to give my input, I originally started 2020 as a sole prop, and then in 2022 we opened Adha as a partnership. The main reason why is we've had a lot of discussions between my partner is actually my study partner for part 3. So we have already had this motivation to open up a firm together. But we did an assessment, like if we were to continue with sole prop, he did his sole prop, my own sole prop, our choice of clients would be very limited, because if you want to go to corporate clients and government jobs, their scoring and their preference will always be for partnership or body corporate. When you are a sole prop, if anything happens to me, the company dies, like what we just discussed. But if you're a partnership, you have a backup. So that's why we did. But in terms of our case, we did for partnership first. We wanted to see what is the horizon. And then our plan is, before 5 years, we'll go to body corporate. That's our plan.
Yeah, I mean, I think body corporate still it's the best structure because there's protection on the business side.
Yes. Actually, clients prefer it because your tax is audited, you have account, all those things that you don't really learn. You will only learn when you're in business. So their client preference is basically on the financial part, which is verified. But when you're a sole prop and your partnership, no one is verifying your accounts, your financial, no. So it's a journey to unknown for them, not for us. Okay, yes. So yeah.
I mean, that's why I think because it's so easy, we've got 1,149 sole props in Malaysia. And we've got 398 body corporates. It's almost 1:3. For every one sole prop, for everyone body corporate, there's 3 sole props out there. Sorry, I've been told to stop for a bit. I'm passing it off to the MC.
Okay, so thank you for the panelists and AR Sacha for the enlightening talk. But that's just an ice-breaking session. So just a taste of what's going to come next. Okay, so let's take a breather for half an hour.
Thank you for staying. Not bad lah, our attrition rate tak banyak yang dah balik. Must be interesting good. So let's start off the second session. Earlier, I think I overran it a little bit. I should have given an opportunity to the floor to ask questions. In the spirit of the dialogue that we want this session to be, if there are questions that any of you would like to ask, can you just come up and ask them so that we get this second session going as a feedback loop, so that your burning questions can be addressed immediately, so I don't just keep talking for the next hour and a half. So please, if anybody would like to ask questions, can you volunteer yourself and come up, please? Oh, yeah, somebody there. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and good morning. My name is Elmi. Question I would like to ask to our young architects in your 30s, early 40s, as we know, architecture, our salary is not that great also, right? So, I mean, I've been there. I mean, am I 29 years old, my 30 years old, my 40 years old, my salary was within 3,000 to up to 6,000. So when you guys took that, leap to venture into your own company, how much savings do you guys have? I mean, do you have a sponsor from your father, mother, or how? Because running a company is not easy. I mean, I don't run my own company, but I'm part of a director of an existing company, and we are having a headache. For example, softwares. Autodesk softwares, it's very expensive. So, and unless you guys are drawing by hand, with a limited amount of money to service your job, maybe that's the way, but it's not possible in this day and age. So how much money, how much savings do you guys have? And also, like one of the chap here was saying that need to feed the family, So, I have money, but I have money to survive on not to survive for a company, but to survive my own self and my family, for example. So, how do you guys survive that? Thanks.
Okay.
Who would like to take up the challenge of this actually very important question?
Yeah, it's a very important question. To be honest, because like I said earlier, for my case, one day I had to jump. I didn't have any plans for it. Luckily, I did make my decision because I didn't have a lot of commitments that I need to pay. I have savings that can last me, even if I'm not working, maybe about 6 to 10 months of savings. Okay, sorry. 6 to 10 months of savings. So initially I said, okay, even if, because I received my company letter 2 weeks before MCO. So it was the worst timing ever. You straight away open and you cannot do anything. So luckily I had those savings, and currently I'm actually working 3 jobs. I have my sole prop, I have my partnership, I'm also doing a part-time job to ensure that I have sufficient incomes. I'm actually taking very safe costs. I'm not very adventurous, I'm very cautious on my spending, because if anything happens, I'm the one taking care of myself. I don't have any other source. Like if your spouses, you have, because I'm single. So if you're married, you have other accounts that you can sort of take, be a guarantee lah. For me, like my father and mother also, they're not rich enough to be my pharma bank. Okay, so that's what I did. I had to hustle 3 jobs to at least cater to be financially stable right now. I didn't take any loans to open up the firm. I started with staying at Starbucks offices. I didn't have an office. I couldn't work at home, so I went to Starbucks whenever I need to do work. I just stay there for a few hours and go back. And then now, currently, I'm actually renting. There's 4 sole props renting in 1 room in an engineer's office. So that's how we try and save. That you have a lot of different firms have different startups and different plannings. I'm a very cautious person. So for spending wise, that's what we did. We initially, 2 of my friends shared 1 room, and then they expanded, the engineer expanded the office. So another 2 of us joined in that office. So we had some savings lah. We tried to allocate so that everyone can use the facility and grow together. So that's one option that I can give to you. Okay.
Myself, when we started, we also started very lean. But before that, we did have some planning already. we try to save, we invest, whatever money we earn, we need to put into some investment in order for the money to grow. Okay, and also when we leave, we didn't like put in a resignation letter and then straight away leave. We do have some. No, we did put in resignation letter, but we are very grateful with our ex-bosses as well because they keep us on retainer. So we work 2 jobs for a few years. Then slowly one tapered off, and then we continue. And during MCO, before that also, we make sure our credit card limit go up. So we got buffer, apply more credit card. So if anything happen, okay, I got few. And then during MCO, actually during the lockdown, there are other opportunity as well because the government was giving out some low interest loan to support SME. We do get that as well as a buffer.
And back to the question about regarding on the software, because that time during pandemic, all the software they are doing the promotion. That's why we have like sign up the subscription at a very lower cost, even for those server as well. So that's how we started.
And we didn't go to Starbucks, we go to public library. So we were hopping like TTDI library, KL library. I even went back to UKM library, stayed there for 1 day, then eat student food.
I think that's where all of you are business people. You are entrepreneurs, and the difference between an entrepreneur and a salaried person is the risk appetite that you're willing to take. I really don't think all of you have the answers when you started off your practice. Maybe the reason why you started off your practice is because you were looking for answers, not because you want an answer. And this thing about because of the pandemic, I've heard it across the whole series of speakers today. It seems to be the adversity that has forced us to make that jump. Whether it's because of the need of a change of lifestyle, in the sense that people were burnt out in their current practices and they wanted something on their own, or because of opportunities, whether it's from the finance side or whether it's from your software side, on the cost side. But this pandemic has really created it's created a landscape that is existing right now where young practices are forced to come out to be on their own. Is that a fair reading of it? Because all of you have almost the same story when it comes to starting or being involved in your own practice during the pandemic.
Maybe I talk a bit. Of course, my timing was after pandemic, but I think the other factor which I have highlighted is also the age of 40 years old. So the other contribution from the pandemic is actually we have a bit more of our me time to think. We cut a lot of traveling time. So we can think a bit more, and I kind of enjoy the freedom of actually having being a bit more mobile rather than have to clock in 9 to 5. I mean, some of my office people are here, so they should not be hearing this. But I'll think that actually pandemic is definitely one of the key factor to me to actually have my self-reflection and to actually think what we want in our life.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I think in the situation where, because I started before the COVID, so it was okay at that time, projects start picking up, and then suddenly COVID hits. So we even during the COVID situation, actually we didn't have much saving, you know. Despite I've been running the office for 2 years, you know, we don't have like 1 year or 2 years kind of saving for the company. So, and then at that time it was very difficult, even 10,000 claim of ringgit to be paid by the client, you know. So I really don't know how we make it through, you know. Because in my office we do, you know, all scale of projects. We have small and big project. So I think the one that keeps sustaining us is the small projects, where we keep certain numbers of small projects in a month. You know, we have to have like 10 small projects. When in a simple maths, let's say one project you can get 10,000 is 100,000 of collection, where you can get, and you have it overlap. So I think that's how we survive. To answer the gentleman just now, you know, how much I have the saving when I started. Actually, I only have about 2 months saving. But then I'm trying to create, you know, projects through my design and build, so I can generate more money from there. And then every time we want to spend for the office, for example, hiring new staff, we have to ensure we have 2 more new projects that can keep the guy for 2 years, you know, with the fees. You know, that's a simple mathematics that we are doing. Yeah, and same goes to expanding the office, you know, even renovating the office or getting a new software. Prior to that, we need to get a new job in order to get a new software. Yeah, that's what we do in our office.
I think pandemic also in a way affect the way we think and behave. So during the slowdown, everyone tasted freedom, and then there's a phrase, freedom, once you've tasted it, you cannot take it away. And then that's the freedom that I think, and also we evaluate our life in how do we spend with family, parents.
I think if we were to look back at this point of history, I think the COVID pandemic really created a generation of entrepreneurs. I call all of you entrepreneurs because it's an enterprise. Not all architects who are salaried architects can make that jump, because as the talk is titled today, you're going to the unknown. However, I'm going to turn it to the other conversation. If you cannot make that jump on your own, could it be that you find the right partner to help you move forward? And I will have to ask this very difficult question. And this is addressed to Bei and Leng Chee. Both of you are in practice and you are also married. Where does the professional stop and the personal begin? How do you manage your time so that there's no conflict in the bedroom?
Still struggling. Because like I still ask her like 11 something at night. How much in the bank? How much money we have in the bank before? Okay, still got money, can sleep.
So do you have, so my question earlier, do you have different roles? In an office, I mean, you might be the sole prop, for example, but you might have other people in your office that play different roles. Is there a very clear division in an office, and is it important to have that strength where somebody focuses on design and somebody focuses on the running of an office? And who does it amongst the two of you?
Okay, the way we do is whoever does it more effectively, the person will do it. Whether it's communication with client, some people want to talk to me, some people don't want to talk to me, some people talk to her, and so we need to be very flexible in that. And certain things she's more meticulous, then she'll do it. And because I'm still doing some part-time work, so she got more time. But in a way, I think, just now I forgot to answer the earlier question. Now we got a baby. Having a baby, so it, in a way, there are more stability in how to say, we can spend more time with the family. So they're more detached compared to not having a baby.
Your wife's looking at you funny. What are you talking about?
Something like that, to me. Because like having a baby now, at least there is a different perspective.
Okay. I mean, I only say that because at one time in my career, I actually worked for a husband and wife company. And I was the marriage counselor. Because they were always fighting. So it's very difficult to distinguish in a practice where it's husband and wife, where one role begins and another ends. Because, as you mentioned earlier, you're going to become a body corporate. Who's the majority shareholder then?
Okay,
you don't have to answer me, but something.
I don't have to answer you, but I would say that actually because we know each other and we work together since our uni time.
I see.
So we are very familiar to how to manage conflict. So actually we don't fight, we don't hide, we fight. So that's why maybe our staff will a bit suffer. So because we do have argument, because the argument is more than the design. How about the office management? How about our expenses, all this? And actually the same method we manage the project, the same method we manage our home finances. Okay. So that's why actually there is no cut off.
Actually, if you can manage to work on it, and when both of you are in the same practice, there's a lot of strength also to draw from each other. Because, sorry, I'm going to jump to Rosnizal. I mean, as a sole prop, one of the biggest challenges I find is that you don't have anybody you bounce off things with. Yes, you will say, I have my staff. But in my own experience, for you to bounce ideas off, you need somebody of equal stature in the office. Because you need to be able to listen to advice as well. And I think, as much as I understand being a sole prop, you're your own boss and you're your single boss. How do you manage this dialogue that's very necessary in an architecture practice?
All right. Even though my registration is a sole proprietor, actually I have other two associates that I can describe like same level as the principal, okay. But they don't have the qualification. We do have a separate agreement out of my sole proprietorship on our sharing shares and everything, you know. So I think this is the way that I'm trying to figure out when I started my business. One of the reason is trying to avoid the burnout. So I get a partner so that I can always have a discussion and counter check on my decision and direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. So prop for me is just a setup.
Okay.
But in the
but you operate
practice,
it almost like a body corporate where
yes,
you have
true.
the board of directors.
Yes.
In inverted commas.
Yeah.
So do you distinguish your roles?
Yes.
Does everybody have a role to play?
Yeah. For example, I myself will be in charging on the statutory part, the submissions and to ensure everything is in order. My other associates, one of them in charge on the design. The other one is looking on the financial. So, but the role of getting projects, all of us has to find a job. And we try to formulate on certain formula, who's getting the job, we get some extra incentive out of that. So that keep us motivated,
Financial incentive.
Yes. Even this strategy is also applies to my staff. It's a profit sharing. When they go to the submission, for example, someone asking them, can you assist me to do the submission, and they're gonna bring that project back to the office, so they're also gonna get some.
So it's almost like a co-op level, and on some level it's a cooperative. Everybody contributes, but with an executive board that deals with strategy and management.
Yeah, I would agree to that. Yeah.
Can I ask the same of NARA? Both of you, there are two of you here, and then this question about the roles that you play in your office. Can you elaborate whether there's a distinction between what each and every one of you does, or how do you define your job in the office?
by the clients, you know, because we continue the projects from GLC. So right now at the moment, we separate by the clients lah. So that's me. I will involve in one client, and then Adhil also will involve in one client. So if we get a new project, so both of us will sit down together and do together, right?
So basically our roles are actually the same.
Summer, yeah.
But whatever we do, we discuss with
Who
each
who is
other.
the signing person then?
Depends on
Depends
project.
on the client. Depends on
Right.
the projects, yeah.
So it's not like one director who's signing it, but it could be
No.
either or signing it.
No.
If you manage the project, then you're the signing person for that.
Okay. Okay. One of the things that you also brought up earlier was this question of burnout. In fact, it's on my list of questions. How do you prevent burnout? You start off a practice. In fact, some of you burnt out from being employed, and that's why you want to start a practice. Have any of you come to the point in your own practice that you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed and burnt out?
In the practice, not yet for us because we're just barely 1 year old.
Yeah, it's only 1 year old.
But as a salaried architect back then, yes, I did feel burnout because of mostly is due to the traveling from home to office. It takes about 1 hour every 1 hour to and another hour back. So it really takes a lot of time, and you get tired. So during that time I did talk to my the late Argun. At that time I told her that I'm okay working at this firm, but my issue is that I get tired easily because of the traveling. Then we discussed and we managed to come to an agreement that I can work from home most of the time and then just come into the office when needed.
Yeah, for NARA, basically, we have very strong and good support system.
I think you need to speak up a little bit because the people upstairs can't hear you.
Okay, for NARA, we have very strong support system. We are using the same staff and same resources, so it's no burnout yet lah for ours.
Okay, because yes, Adhil.
Truthfully, I've experienced burnout before as a salaried architect and also a sole prop company, because I opened in 2020 and I couldn't do anything. 1 year wasted away for sole prop because when you want start a company, you need to meet clients, you need to do networking, but you're unable to. So you have this uncertainty in your heart. It's very unsettling. And I'm actually burnt out by not doing anything. I'm unable to do anything. I'm unable to proceed with my plans or my own expectations. So, but I think everyone here, logically, everyone who's an architect has experienced burnout before. It's not logical for you not to experience a burnout before. So what you need to do is, for me, I straight away, usually for me, my burnout is in my head. You're mentally comparing yourself with others. Because when I opened my firm, a lot of my close friends who took part 3 together also opened their own firms around the same time, 1 year before or 2 years before. So about 5 to 6% near to me, close to me, opened their own firms. So you can compare all these different levels. So you feel very challenged. I'm not up to expectation. I'm not up to their level. So what I did was I just went back, took time off, try not to think about anything, and then I focus on organizing whatever I can do, which is registration for MOF, look for panels, bank panels that I can register as, all those things. So you have to learn and take a step back. Stop everything, take a step back when you experience that burnout, and then reassess the situation. And if you need to, you go find friends and just have fun for a while, 2 days, 3 days, shut off everything from work, and then you start back again fresh. That's my experience.
I think the burnout you feel as an employee and the burnout you feel as a business owner is quite different. As a business owner, you are responsible for a whole, I mean, I don't know how many staff you have at any one point in time, even if it's 1 or 2, you're responsible for them. So I would think for a business owner, it's not quite the burnout that an employee would feel. An employee feels the burnout because boss gives them too much work and there's no time to finish the work and they're just stressed out. A lot of time as a business owner, like, I don't have money to pay salaries. The bill for the software is coming in. How do I pay? Tax is coming in. How do I pay? So very different issues lah.
I'll just add on my experience. In terms of burnout, in my last, when I was employed,
yeah.
The burnout comes from actually the stress from the management, more on internal rather than the deadlines for the projects. I find that we wasted a lot of time and effort to prepare reports for the company. That actually, and then a lot of meetings, management meetings, which I find that I do agree that it is necessary when you have a big team. But when I come out, I start to take my time off. Then I realize that I can actually spend more time in the design, in architecture, rather than doing all the office works.
Right.
So when I compare back the time spent, actually I spend more time now in office, working, not really in the office, but working. I have, as I say, I can be working in Starbucks, cafe orders. So I probably work more, but then I don't feel the burnout.
Right.
I don't feel the burnout
Right.
because I'm doing architecture and not some
Understand.
paperwork.
Understand. Oscar, I need to pass to you because you've been rather quiet. So the question to you is, we talk about burnout as a boss, but you will still have staff under you, which, if you work as a staff, you get burnt out. How do you make sure that you try and avoid your staff being burnt out? Because one of the things that we had earlier was travel distance. Does it apply to you when you speak to your staff about avoiding burnouts? Because now that you're a boss, you can't get them to leave your office.
All right. There are some of my staff here. Probably can ask them. All right. The burnouts that I mentioned earlier on is basically when you are working for corporates, like what our peers is. There's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of KPIs that you need to meet, and many of the times those KPIs is not something that you believe in.
So will you then want to bring the KPIs? Because the reason why they have these management systems is efficiency, right?
Yes. I run my setup a little bit different from the peers here. Because I believe as when you talk about burnouts, many of the time is you placing too much of yourself inside a situation. When you think so high out about yourself, then you put on a lot of pressure on it. In fact, this can be shared. So what I'm doing now is actually running a small setups, and I rather call them as a communities. In fact, my teams don't really work very late. They actually live quite punctual in a way, right? So it's about managing the balance between amount of works and also amount of times, and also amount of responsibility. My setup is quite flat. When Sacha mentioned about bouncing ideas, in fact, I bounce ideas with my team as well. So we basically will open out every single design coming in. I'll set the direction. I say, this clients as such, this is my understanding of my clients, and they join me in the meetings, they join me in the discussion of the clients, and after that, I'll bounce it back to them. So what do you think? Then, in fact, after a big zonings that I draw it out, they'll start to develop. Then there's a dialogue between what they believe in and what, from my perspective, what do I see? So when you start to share this responsibility around, then the burnout risk is actually also shared out. I mean, that is entitlement to the staff as well. They feel that I'm actually belonging to that. Very often I share with my teams, if your job is your hobby, do you burn out in your hobby? Right? But if you take the job as a job, then you take 9 to 5 as a time to work. Then you find it that this is very forcefully force you into that situation to do it. So I'm not sure. Perhaps the last time that I really burn out is probably in the corporates. After I set out, I think I find it's even though we are running short in cash to pay, but we still manage to churn it out. I mean, this is a blessing. I mean, it's truly a blessing.
I think that's also the beauty of having a smaller practice. I mean, even for people who are employed in a big organization, when they move to a smaller office, the responsibilities are very different. There's very much less management issues. Big organizations have a lot of meetings. Sometimes I wonder why you have meetings. You have meetings for the sake of having meetings. And at the end of the day, you take away the time that you're supposed to spend on what we love most. And all of us love design. I think that's why we do architecture.
The beauty of our setup is actually, I think, crucially, is my wife, myself, we both have a very similar direction. We love to share. I mean, younger generation is always our target. We always believe that if you want to change the industry, I'm not sure, do you think that this industry now is healthy? That is the topics that we have to pose it as a bigger levels of understanding. Do you think it's healthy? If it's not healthy, then who can make the change? Is it the practitioners like us, or is the generation to come? So if we feel that this industry is not healthy, then the next generation is the generations that we should give them hopes. That is why we do a lot of community sharings, we do a lot of these interactions. And Cheryl and myself, we're still going back to school, though our schedule is still very tight, but we have been teaching since 2018, and we are still going back. This is what I believe that we can contribute back to the industry. So Cheryl and myself share a very similar direction in that manner. And the second question that I always ask myself and also pose it to the team of my students as well, I say, what is enough then? How much is enough to sustain your lifestyles? Yeah. So that is a key question that to put it in the situation whether you are burnt out or not. Very often when it is burnt out because you are asking for something that's beyond your reach.
Yeah, I think those are very, very, very wise words. I completely agree with you because, sorry, to answer your question about where we are in terms of our professional health, I see a lot of people leaving the industry. To be fair to you, I was involved in CLAF last year, 2023, and we had a series of programs the whole year. And my conclusion is, if we don't do enough to retain talent in our industry, there'll be a point when all of you don't have anybody else left to hire.
That is actually exactly what I'm seeing. Ask all the practitioners down there, do you guys having difficulty in hiring the young talents now? Do you have problems in engaging and hiring young talents or staff? If it's not only in architecture, you look at engineering, you look at quantity surveyors, you look at all this, the industry is actually in the sunset industry is dying. And we are not only competing about this industry, we are competing with Singapore. Singapore is basically drawing all our talents away. Right? I actually shared one sessions with the young generation as well. I actually did out slides, I do a percentage. Like I always like percentage because figures don't lie, right? Figures don't lie. I always like their figures. So if you look at that, yeah, since that our younger generation, we can probably say, oh, we chunk out how many Part 2 graduates, but end up how many of them actually pursuing up to this industry? How many end up in other industries? You will see that some of the graduates in architects eventually going into as developers, doing the sales for properties. I'm not saying that that's wrong, but it is unhealthy, isn't it? You are trained professionally, but you end up in the markets that you are doing sales, right? Then who is eventually coming to help us to take over our baton? Who am I supposed to pass it to, right?
Yeah.
So these are situations I believe that the entire industry need to start looking at instead of just one or two, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a bigger topic that really needs addressing. But what you have touched on, there's something that I want to address. How do all of you distinguish yourselves when you want to look for talent? What is your pitch to new staff to say, come work with us? This is what I offer you. Is this something that you all consciously look at when looking for new staff? And again, I talk about the pitch. What do you pitch to them? What's different working with your office? I mean, it's a question to everybody, so I'm not going to pressure Oscar.
Okay, maybe I can share a bit, what's happening in my office. Because even though I'm getting old, but I'm still young. So
you're not old.
Basically, the fresh graduates, we don't have that big gap in terms of age. So, and we are like friends, in the office after they join us. And because in my office, we do have a lot of other activities apart from office. So we do have trips. We have a football team. We join the PAM Liga and everything, And we do have outings where all staff are forced to play golf in Cameron Highlands and stuff. So I think that is one of the activities that we always encourage in the office. In fact, when we start hiring a new staff, we ask their expectation instead of we are telling them our expectation. And surprisingly, most of the young talents, they are more interested in outside office activities, So and I asked them, why do you apply your application to us? They said because they heard from friends that we play football, and we go out and play golf together and stuff, So I think that is the main motivation that they have.
I mean, I think it's very clever of you because that's how you bring them in. And once they're in, it's up to you to hold on to them. Because there are two things. There's talent, I don't know what the word is. There's talent retention, which is after they walk through the doors.
Yeah.
And the other one is talent attraction. And you're doing very well with the attraction part.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. But, and I think another part of it is that because we always communicate, when they're already in the office, we always communicate. We do check with each of the staff, how's your workloads and everything. So
sorry, I interrupt a little bit. When you say you communicate, can you share a little bit about your management practice? Do you have a staff meeting every Monday? Or do you have, do you run your communications online using groups? Or how do you, in fact, later on I'll ask the rest of the team, rest of the panel, how do you communicate within the office?
Okay, we started with having staff meeting every 2 weeks, fortnightly. But after a while, we found it like sort of waste of time, So we instead having a small meetings, specifically for the projects or the departments that are in charge. For example, a design team. Rather than the whole office is waiting for each one to report their progress and everything. So we rather have a small discussion for the staff to report to the respective boss in terms of progress and what are they doing. And we're also going to do a counter checking. How's your current workload? Do you need assistance, to delegate more works, sort of like that. Yeah.
What about the others? How do you run your practice? What sort of do you have a structured organization system? Can you share a little bit? Do you have staff meetings? Do you have do you love meetings?
Hello. For us, we do conduct staff meeting every once a month at the end of the month to just check how everybody is doing, how's their workload, the status. For projects, let's say if we wanted to take up a project, we would check with the team, are you okay with taking this project? If we feel that it's too technical or it's not interesting or very far, we will not take it.
Because the bigger you are as a practice, the more sharing you need to do. I know some big practices, they have like, oh, let's have a sharing session. Share your projects with us because it's so big. But because all of you are much smaller practices, you can actually remove that. And I do know some people complain about too many sharing sessions because all they do is have meetings.
I don't find having too many meetings effective. So it's the less meeting that you have, it's more effective. So like weekly, like we'll just say, just put in the chat group, hey, is anybody free to do this? And then maybe one of them will volunteer, say, oh, I'm free, so I can do that, instead of asking one person to do a lot of workload. Okay. So we do check weekly on that through WhatsApp.
Okay. Anybody else? Again, if there's questions, please. One more. Anybody else, please approach the mic. I'd love to ask, or rather hear your questions. That one.
I'm pretty sure every one of you started off architecture as being a staff. And being a staff, I'm a staff too, and honestly, I do bicker about my boss. So, apalah boss ni. Now, you guys have transitioned from being a staff to a boss. Okay, so what's your approach after you become a boss? How do you, because you have the experience of, being a staff and complaining about work and complaining about your boss, and now when you become a boss, how do you approach your staff? I would like to know this because I have my own staff that I need to, look after. So I'd like to get some opinions from your side. Next question. Once you become a boss, are you the kind of boss who are hands-on, meaning go with your staff and do work together? Or are you the kind of boss that boss around, meaning all your staff do the work and you just wait for the result and wait for the money to come in? Thank you.
Yeah, who's the bossy one amongst the boss?
It's usually the ladies who are the bossy ones. Okay, as for my my experience, I experienced the transition between fully staff only, into the management level, and then currently on my own. So my way is usually, I give them tough love. Sorry, I'm the tough love kind of person. So if you do it correct, whenever I get a staff, I will tell them, I give you 3 warnings. The first one, I will make a joke about it. So the first one is like, okay, you did something wrong, I will make fun of you a bit, but we'll just laugh it off. You have to remember what you did wrong. Second time, I will give them a real warning. Like, I will say, okay, you did this wrong. From whatever that you did, this is the outcome. So basically for the youngsters, they don't understand what exactly was wrong with what they did. So you have to explain it. Okay, if you did this, like let's say you didn't answer AI on time, what will happen? Okay, so they don't understand. Basically, they don't know. So you have to explain it. And then in some scenarios, I will bring them to the meetings because they need to understand the urgency of the project. If they don't experience being under pressure by clients, they will just straight away do their own work, by their time, right? So once they experience that themselves, then they understand what is the consequences. That's number one. Third time, so the third warning is this one lah. You'll get hit by me lah. Okay. And then second question just now was. Oh, okay. Hands-on or okay. For me, like I would like to train my staff. This is what I experienced from my own previous company, the first firm I worked in. I don't want to be. I don't want my staff to always be a staff. I want to train you so that you can go on your own. So that's why I'm a tough love person. But the reason why is you need to grow. I don't want you to be stagnant there. So I will be a hands-on person, a hands-on boss when you need me to be. I can be your best friend, and I can be your older sister. Those kinds of rules. Because youngsters, you have to treat them according to their character and according to their age. We cannot just lump sum consider them the same. Okay. I think that's my advice.
Anybody else? What's your management style?
Okay, I started with a very hands-on person, very detailed in every single thing that my staff did. And that's, after a while, I think that could lead me to burnout, you know, because I'm too detailed on certain things. And in fact, my associates did tell me, you know, you've been too hands-on, you have to have trust in the staff. And that's when I slowly start, you know, to give more trust to my staff. And when they did wrong, I asked them to rectify. How many rounds of rectification was required? I still ask them to do it until they know that this is correct. And I think now I'm in between, you know, not really hands-on, because I want my staff to be responsible to the works they're doing. Because last time when I'm too hands-on, when my staff did wrong, I asked them, give me the CAD file, I will rectify it. You know, so I think it's not healthy. You know, even the rendering and stuff, because I still can do all those works. So now I ask them to keep changing it or repair it until it's correct. By letting go a bit, you know, of course there will be some frustration when we look at the result. Being a hands-on person, or you're trying to be too perfect, right? But I think it's a process that I need to accept, and I will rather focus more on, you know, getting the job. And we delegate the responsibility within the office, where, you know, the junior staff gonna have a bit the superior both of it, and I'm the last tier to look after the overall works. So let's say the draftsman doing the drawings, so the architect have to check, make sure it's correct before the drawing comes to me. So yeah, I think it works somehow.
I think to sort of qualify what the question is, we are all in a business that wants to grow. None of us start off a business to say that I want to be where we are today forever. So what we are doing with our staff is actually scalability. So by empowering them, you allow each one of your staff to then become kind of a mini boss in themselves, because then over time you get to trust them and they will allow that growth to happen. So there will be a point in the growth of a small office that you really have to let go. Not because you think that you're being too bossy, but that's the only way to empower the staff to allow your company to then grow bigger.
Yeah.
So eventually there'll be a point in any evolution of a small office. That's the right thing to do. And I find those bosses who find it, I mean, as architects, right, we really like to hold on to certain things, especially on the design part. Very hard to let go of design. But as bosses, we also need to learn how to let go. And it's sometimes easier said than done. Kita cakap aja, but the reality is we don't want to let go.
Yeah.
But that's not healthy.
Yeah. And then to add that, you know, in the office, we have like good cops and bad cops. So I'm the good one.
Are you the good cop or the bad cop?
I'm the good cop.
Oh,
yeah.
good cop.
So the bad cop's gonna do all the, you know, torturing.
I need
part
to learn
of
that
it.
also.
Yeah.
I need to find
Yeah.
a bad cop.
But it's not really like traditionally, you know, like we really scared of our boss, you know, even want to show something, you want to present the drawings, we a bit scared because we have that gap between the boss and the staff. We try to minimize that gap. Even though this bad cop in my office, you know, he gonna do his job when it's really bad, you know. Yeah, but I'm gonna keep myself to be the good cops all the way. Yeah.
what is interesting is, I think for office, as you grow an office and manpower, there'll be a time when you grow from 1 to 5. I think the next milestone will be like 20, and then after that starts to go to like 40. As you grow bigger, the whole scalability changes, and you really need to start designation. I know we speak about growth, but do any of you ever see your offices to be a 40-man office? Or is that why you don't, is that why you left corporate, that you don't really want your office to be that big? Do you have an end game in plan to say that as much as I grow, I'm only going to stop when I reach this amount of staff or headcount?
I'm definitely not an entrepreneur. I just want to keep it very small. When my journeys start with middle-sized office, and then I went to really hundreds of architects under one roof. Eventually move on to 14 or even less than 14 packs. So I actually went through the whole process of that. And I find is that the bigger the office the setup is, okay.
You're among friends, it's okay, nobody's going to tell.
The biggest the projects, the bigger the office it is, then the lesser the architectures it is in the projects. Because very often we are dealing with numbers. That's what I always like to show. So if the bigger the project is, then the more importance of numbers come to place, then the lesser of the architecture is really addressing the issue. So I'm not saying that I'm going to reject all the multi-millions or billions projects, but to me, it is about how much architecture I can put into these projects before I start talking about size of the projects. So for my setups, I do have an end games. All right, my end games is not about how big this OTCQ or Mukabumi to be, how many packs or how many persons, how many yearly revenues that I should make. My end plan is basically empowering the younger generation to start flourish. So all the staff that are joining me, and I actually went through every single steps with them for the first projects, including scenes, cries, designs, everything else until end of project, CCC, wrap it out. So that builds their confidence. So I actually told them very bluntly, I says, I'm not expecting you to join me or follow me for the next 20 years. I know eventually, if you are talented, you want to have your own setups. So journey out, you have my blessing to journey out. I share projects with them, I give them projects. One of them I actually gave them projects. So eventually, I hope that they eventually set it out itself. Then in the future, I see architecture is in the collaborations journey. It's no longer about how big the setup is, it's about collaboration of the right persons in the projects, right? So I'm not sure whether that is what the...
So are you not motivated by profit? Are you not motivated by the opportunity to make some money?
Yes, money is important, right? But it's like what I just said, how much is enough? How much is enough? Right? If
university fees are not cheap nowadays, you know. I mean, as a parent, you come to the point and you're like, you know, my son's growing up. You know, where are they going to go and study? And finances do come in at some point in your life.
Yes, of course, I'm not compromising all the commitments of mine. All right. So as long as I cover the commitments of that, I know that this portion is untouched. It has to be measures that I fulfill this commitment of mine. But other than that, it's really a bonus. You see, there's the topics that I always ask around. I say, you see, we are trying so hard to make a lot of money. And then eventually we want to use that money to buy joy, buy happiness. But if in the process, you don't need that much money, you can still get the happiness and joy, what's wrong with that?
I like your philosophy.
Probably, that's why I'm saying I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm just...
How about Bei and Leng Chee? Do you see a size that you want to grow to where you will stop, or are you looking at, you know, the GDPs, the Veritas, the SAA sizes?
I don't think we are looking at that big, because like, for example, if the overhead per month is 1 million, and you are only yourself earning 20K,
Not worth it, huh?
not worth it. So it's that kind of, we need to balance it. So I would rather do, I earn 20K, let's say 20K, and my headache is not so big.
Right.
Yeah, then we can spend time with kids,
Right.
parents, manage our own expectation.
I think that's the beauty of having your own practice, because you manage that equilibrium where you want to stop, when you want to continue.
Yes, yes.
The most important reason that we come out on our own is because we want to have some things like from the scratch to end product with our hands. So that's why we are a very hands-on person. And the other thing is like just now the question that you asked, that how do we like pitch the whoever works with us.
Yeah.
Actually recently we do have intern, and then we noticed that when we are working with intern, because they are still very passionate in architecture.
So can you click closer?
They are still very passionate in architecture. So from that point, we don't want to kill their dream, like saying that, oh, this is very tough. Because ourselves, actually, we do enjoy architecture. So we want to bring them to like the enjoyment that we have went through. So actually, we bring them from, okay, we like hiking. Our site is always like at the hill slope side. So we bring them to hiking, to explore the slope, the mud, and then tell them this is what you're going to draw, and eventually before your end of your internship, actually it will be built. So they're very excited. They start on the drawing. They're really like hands-on. Then they understand that, oh, last week I draw the slope, and then this week they have cut the slope. Oh, this is how they're going to be. So this is how we like. Because I think last time when we are still like underemployment, our work, we had to see it's completed. Because maybe it's a big scale work, so it took a lot of time and it took a lot of process. We don't see like every single process. But if for a small building, for a student or for someone who are new in architecture, they're able to like experience it, they understand, they can have the enjoyment of the outcome. So they will bring them work, go further. So at the same time, actually, we are trying to attract for like like-minded persons, like whoever enjoy architecture, then join us, and then we can collaborate and we work together.
I think looking at this new generation of bosses, there is a lot of desire and strategy to involve the staff outside of the office. I mean, if you look at the older bosses, right? You know, I call them like the ones that grew, or the officers that grew during our golden years. You know, the Hijaz, the Kenyans. You're not going to get them hiking with you, are you? You know, they just, you come to the office, it's the old school model where it's mentorship. I'm your guru, you come here to learn. If you don't like it, walk out, leave, you know, I'll always somebody else. But because as Oscar was saying, our pool of talent is shrinking. We, as bosses, we have to also change the way that we engage with our staff, because we really want them to be retained. And you don't realize it, but the way that offices are being run from the top also is changing. It's not the old model anymore. You know, I can't, like I said, I can't imagine that Hijaz Kasturi saying, let's go hike in Bukit Gasing next week. You know, it's not going to happen, right? He's not even going to bring you on his boat. It's very difficult.
But we bring them for hiking. It's not for fun, yeah, it's for work.
About shrinking talent pool, because it's more challenging for small practices.
Yes.
Because we are competing with a bigger office.
Yes.
Or maybe for my company, actually, in terms of pitching for talents, we offer them exposures, actually. And most of the time when I interview them, I will actually ask what do they want in terms of what kind of environment they want. So we don't restrict, I mean, the way of practicing our architecture, and I will always ask them what software do they use, because we have to embrace technology, and technology come in different kind of methods, whether it is AI, software, it can be even 3D printing, all those kind of technologies. So to us, we want to adapt to it, and I will always ask them, let us know what kind of software that you are familiar, and do bring it to the company. Means it's like, if you have the skill in certain type of technology, share with the company, so that we don't restrict them on just our way of doing architecture. We want them to actually bring their own experience to us, or their own preference, so that we can actually explore more ways of doing architecture. And I find that that actually attracts them to actually be more involved in the company.
You run it like a lab, a laboratory, where you get collaborators. You know, they're no longer employees, but collaborators with you.
I mean, we do face a lot of a lot of try and error. Some like they'll say do for use this software, but then it failed. But then at least we try. Then we know that will not work.
Understand. Any questions from the floor? We have one there. Can you use the mic, please?
Hello. Okay. Okay. Looking for at the numbers that you did in terms of fee proposal that you gave, and then the successful rate is like 50%, which is good for a new, new startup or new practice. And can you tell me like what is the strategy like for you to lock the half of it, and also what happened to the rest? Like for example, 14, 7, and the rest 7 that you didn't get. What is your strategy in terms of following up with them, or like how if they ghosting you, like will you trying to pursue that more? And I think this one also goes to everyone, every panelist. Like, what sort of marketing strategy right now for architects practice with new like new social media and everything? Does we need still go by mouth, or like for example NARA have their Instagram and everything, and how does that work for your marketing? And is it work for you, like in terms of Instagram? Like for example, Instagram is more people, or TikTok people are asking for, like to see your fee, and then they're comparing with other architects in terms of fee and all that. So yeah, how do you guys have that marketing strategy, and also your approach to the clients in terms of getting projects?
All right. My my strategy is basically very simple. Keep your commitment very low. Keep your headcounts very low. I'm not sure whether this is the right thing to say, but social media is a very powerful tool, right? To be honest, before my project be featured by social media, I literally almost gave up in architecture. I almost say that, okay, that's fine. Developers giving me plenty of times and monies, and I'll just stick to that. But the social media happens that to force me out and says, hey, go back to what you once really enjoy doing the process. So social media is definitely one of the things that you have to address. And of course, before talking about social media, it's really your honesty in your works, right? Obviously, the first project being featured in the social media is my house. So that is really my pure intuitions about this house, how I actually answer to tropical climax, how I actually address it in such a way. So I have no intentions to do anything, but it's pure intuitions to create architectures that are addressing to a tropical climate. So that is even more important than your social medias. Social medias can cover some of the part of pitchings, but eventually it's your product's continuous and consistency in your belief and principles that eventually could land you more jobs. On the amounts of RFPs that's sending out and amount of RSP that's being signed off and eventually proceed to the project, if you have a big teams to feed, then you are forced to pitch it, you're forced to close it. But because I have small teams, before I even hired my first staff, I'm really thinking about just between me and Cheryl, 2 person working on it. And the interns start coming in because I was a tutor of them. They says they inquire whether there's a possibility to follow through. That's where it start to build up, and small, there's a commitment. So if you're saying that how I'm going to lock down and pitch it, is really through very genuine conversation with your clients. I always meet up before I send out an RFP. In fact, my RFP, I have no designs. It's basically just my fee, right? I don't put in any design, no sketches, nothing. But it's really the first meeting with the client, sit down together, share our beliefs, share our preference. And if they find that there's sincerity and they look at your products that you did in the past, they are confident with you, that's where it strikes, right? Not sure whether I answer your question. Right, okay, right. Other colleagues?
Hi, so just to answer your question, we did use social media to promote our firm, and we did see some positive feedbacks from that. For instance, like our Instagram, we did get some messages, and also from LinkedIn. We also managed to get an intern to work for us for about 3 months, and after that, managed to get a permanent staff through that. So yeah, I guess social media is a very good tool for us to use to market ourselves and, let us be known out there. I think it's also
from social media as well. Some of the clients, they are friends, in the social media, like friends with us and also friends with NARA. And then that's how we get like one phase to another phase. We continue from one phase to another phase. And another marketing strategy is we send our portfolio to some of the developers. And we also have a team which is we registered some procurements we have a team to handle on the marketing strategies for the marketing strategy.
Yeah, we would just, send in our company profile under, maybe Sime Darby Plantation or FGV, and then we'd get all this procurement coming in, inviting us to tender for the projects. So that's what we're doing now, because of course, we're on our own now and we want to get new clients. Apart from that, we also, maintain good relationship with, let's say, not just clients, but maybe like engineers. That's also where we got our projects from, because a friend who is an engineer has a friend who wants to build something, so they recommend us to do the projects, and then we managed to get projects from there.
What do you think is the most effective social media platform? TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn?
I don't use TikTok. At the moment, Instagram and LinkedIn is quite good.
Because it's a generational thing, I find. I mean, like, people of my generation, my dad, they're like, still using Facebook, Who goes on Facebook? It's actually a serious question, but in a little bit of jest. In your own experience, of all the social platforms, which one has been the most effective in promoting your brand?
I already answered. To me, it's Instagram and LinkedIn.
What about your websites? All of you have websites up?
To be honest, just now I mentioned about social media, that social media doesn't lend you jobs.
Yes.
Yeah, social media is basically lend you reputations,
Publicity.
So, yeah, publicity and reputation. So you show people that what you are doing, and that gives people a sense of confidence. But the leads from social medias is actually very, very low conversion rates. So if you are doing that kind of marketing, you have to make sure that your target audience is meant for educating, it's not meant for pitching, right? So Instagrams or anything on that, it has to base on that mindset. If you are basing on the pitching jobs, whatever leads that you get for Instagrams, that's actually very, very, I'm not sure whether you want to take it. It's talking about extension of car wash, extension of kitchens.
But all of you have Instagram accounts for your businesses?
Yes, but I think, like what you say, I think most social media are more for exposure. And about Facebook, but somebody told me from another industry, Facebook is actually very effective because most of the rich people are still in Facebook.
Thank you for the tip.
Yes. I wanted to say the same. Like Facebook, if you reach out to Facebook, the age that has the capacity to spend is on Facebook and not on TikTok.
That's true. That's true.
So you're not in TikTok, right?
No.
How about in this generation websites, office websites? You know, it was absolutely required at one point in time. And I know that some of the younger practices, they don't even have a website. They just use other platforms. Say something about that.
For me, I don't have websites. I did try, but it's for our generation, it's more effective to just go on Instagram and Facebook.
And I think face-to-face interaction and connection is more important.
Yes, but you need the social media to get the door open to do the face-to-face. You need that multiplier. It's very difficult to do face-to-face if nobody knows who you are.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, basically we go on, like for me, I go on Instagram and Facebook just to inform that I've already opened a firm, this is what I'm doing these days, that's all.
Okay, so I was just told, before I go on, any more questions? I'm taking questions from the floor. Okay, that was part B. We're going to part C. Part C is effectively talking about, let me see here. It's called future planning. So we've spoken about the journey from the commencement, how you guys started, some of the perils of running an office, some of the pitfalls, some of the positives. So this last part is about the end journey, I guess, future planning. I'm of the opinion, and I think this is a mistake that I myself did when I started off. It was very exciting to start on your own, but very little thought has been put about how does the journey end. We know that some practices today suffer from this issue of legacy planning. These are very established firms. I don't want to name names, but you know, my old firm has an issue about who's taking over. I know some other firms also have the issue. The classical case that we have is BEP. BEP for the longest time had legacy planning issues. There was just nobody to take over, and that's why GDP thrived, because those that from BEP went to GDP and they thrived. And at GDP, they created a system that allowed for future planning because they have the team system. So very much a Norman Foster system. I don't think it's too early, but have any of you thought about the end game, about what happens when it's time for you to pass on your legacy? And have you structured your organization to be able to accommodate that? Or is it too early to talk about it?
I mean, to me, actually, that's why when I started SoProp, then I realized that SoProp is not sustainable. We definitely need to begin with end in mind. And so I converted to body corporate within a year. Then I start to, I will always tell my associate that I want to retire, you know, in 10 years' time. By putting that in my mind, then I'll always remind myself that I need to think of how the next generation people are going to take over, and so that every step that I do, I will have to take that extra thinking on how I can actually pass on, and that's where I realized that exposure for the staff in the company is very, very important. If you grow to a certain stage and the internal team don't get the same exposure as you have, then it's very, very difficult to pass the baton. So that's why I try to bring my senior staff out, so that like every event we make sure we go as a team. Then they get a bit of exposure from time to time. At the moment, I'm not there yet. I mean, we are still like entering our 3rd year, but I hope that in 10 years' time, at least, people don't look at CTA as Twan Arkitek, but people look at CTA as a CTA. Then you can have that sustainability in the company.
Actually, that's even what you've just mentioned. The fact that you're using CTA as your name, and not the name of the principal partners in the brand, is already part of legacy planning. Because just to share, on my side, we started off as Sacha and Tan Architects, and we made a decision about 5 years ago to change it to STA, because we wanted to take the name of the founders out of it, because we wanted ownership from the next generation to take over. These are very subconscious things we don't think about, but actually it matters. And unless you sit down and really plan about legacy, these things is very easy to pass you by. And next thing you know, 10 years will be over very quickly, and you're like, why nobody wants to take over? And then you realize, my name is on the front door. Nobody wants to be, this new generation, they don't want to carry on somebody else's name. They want it to be theirs. So these are some of the very subtle things that I think as you guys grow, you need to consider what happens in the future.
I'm the oldest amongst all, so obviously I would think about legacies, and not about my legacies, but it's about passing on. That is sharing the same sentiments. That's also a reason why I start moving from Soprots, Oscar Tan Architects. Now I'm trying to put it out as a Mukabumi, as a Surrender Hearts. One of that is really I want to step back. I really want to pull myself out, step back, and in the future, this Mukabumi set-outs is a belief. It's not really about Oscar. It's not really about Cheryl's, but it's a belief that tropical architecture has a lot to do with the climax. Tropical architectures, if you're looking at our operations, energies that we spend, especially in this kind of climax, cooling is the biggest culprit. And that heat map is crazy, right? So that's where we are starting out with that. I says that is a belief. So my team joining me, they have that belief that passive architecture is primary solutions before we start talking about active solutions. That's why in my office, we actually didn't put on the aircon until after 12, right? So we're still very much practicing because we want them to experience that it works. We walk the talks and it works. That's how we enforce it. As a passing on, I believe in the future that the big set-outs will have a prevalence of continuity as a legacies and passing on. The younger generations is no longer the teams that's looking into saying that I want to fight for your names, fight for your legacies, fight for that. They want to start a new page. They want to have their own. So my setup is in collaborating process. I'm saying that whoever said join us, you are free to go, you are free to leave, you're free to set out yourself. But in the future, if there's a job that is too big for you to handle, or my job is too big to handle, then come back and collaborate. Then we start talking about how to share the fees and anything else. That is one way that how we foresee our setup eventually move on. And even with Cheryl, I'm telling them that when we really eventually go to a stage that we are enough, then this setup of Mukabumi of myself will only have 2%. That's me and my wife. Then the rest will be we are looking into as an advisory roles to help the younger generation to start building out their platform. That is what I'm thinking.
May, anything?
I think it's not too late to, it's not too early even for our stage to start thinking. Because in relative to other industry, 40 is quite old already. If you're looking into some CEO or COO of those digital bank or startup, those are early 30s. Then some people have their peer pressure from other industry as well. They want to get involved into more senior role, more management role. So if moving forward, we may need to look into that, certain roadmap as well.
Have you looked into it at all?
We did study.
How about the others? Adila, anything? City has spoken. NARA, please add to this conversation.
As for us, that's one of the reasons why we started ADHA instead of just Adhil. We are looking into training, like I said, training them to be individuals and independent, and we will select if they are agreeable to take over and become partners as well.
Hello. I guess that's the reason also why we chose to be a body corporate firm when we wanted to form this company, so that we could add in directors or in the future if we wanted to. I also have my brother out there. Maybe in the future, if he wants to, join us, we're free. We're open to that.
So basically, what I'm getting the feedback on is you understand the structure of a business, and you're working towards the structure to allow the legacy planning to happen.
Yes. So let's say in the future, we're both of us aren't around, somebody else could take over and carry on our name and our projects.
Actually, this is not something very new, and we can see in overseas firm. Okay, for example, Bia Engel, from a small firm of 2%. So how he get more people in as partner, or even OMA they started. I'm not saying that you will go until that stage, but in a very early stage, they already structure the company to allow that growth. Yes.
Understand. I'm of the opinion that actually architects should really start to favor mergers more than the opposite of a merge is demerge or breakups, When I talk about breakups is when your office starts to, people you've groomed. I mean, the other thing about legacy planning is you can groom somebody. At the point where you tell them, okay, are you ready to take over? They might decide, I'm gone. And that's 10 years of investment in one person just out of the door. We should really effectively talk about growth through mergers so that, forward-thinking companies of similar mindset, just grow. You merge we as architects don't really look at what as other businesses do. Mergers are done to improve efficiency. If you have 10, I have 10. If we merge, we might need 16. And there's already immediate savings there. The problem with architects is our egos are too big. Everybody wants to be an architect with a capital A. Out there, the clients are not looking at you as an architect with a capital A. Your A is very small because you're one of about 50 of them that they go to. If you don't want to do it, the next guy is there. That guy doesn't want to do it, the next guy is there. So there's a very big mismatch between what we think of ourselves and what our patrons think of us. And architecture is still a business of patronage. If you don't have a patron, and patron is a client in effective words, right? If you don't have a patron to support you, it's very hard to survive. So we have very big egos of who we are. But the reality of it actually is we need to come down a few pegs and understand that it's better to work together than to work against each other.
It is.
And that's how we keep our own industry alive and relevant. Because apart from just staffing issues, there's a lot of challenges from other statutory bodies. I mean, the big challenge we have right now is with project managers. Project managers are eating into our profession, taking over the role that we have been given under our act. So we architects still don't react. We're like, tak apalah. As a collective, we're rather weak because I think we're very much driven by ego. And my own wish is stop it, really. Look at it as a business. Because there'll be a point when it has to be dealt with as an opportunity, as a business opportunity. Because if we don't look at it, other people will come in. Yeah. Rose, anything you want to add on the issue of succession? I haven't gotten to you yet.
Yeah, I think to me, I don't have the long-term plan yet, but the short-term will be converting my office into body corporate. Of course, what sparks me to have that is that, yeah, if anything happened to me, you know, what's gonna happen to the project, right? So because I'm the sole proprietor, we have a potential director or partner to join us already. And actually, the other requirement to have the body corporate is because some of the corporate clients require that. They don't want to put their project into the risk, you know, by hiring a sole proprietor. Yeah, if you ask me whether I have the successor plan or not, I don't have yet to say that. But in terms of business, I think I'm not going to stick with architecture only per se. Yeah, I think we're going to diversify our business, not just into architecture, maybe something within the same core, you know, like development or construction as well. Yeah, and architecture might be one of the wing within our business in the future. Yeah.
I think the pitfall of having a body corporate with many directors is there'll be a point when somebody will point out that I'm doing more work than you, and how come you're getting paid the same? Conflict management is something that we haven't really discussed, but it's very real in the practice. It's a long conversation, but yes, we are organizing ourselves for a succession plan, but before we get there, there are other shortcomings as well within the system that we need to manage. I mean, you've got your wife, you know each other very well. Oscar's got his wife. But when you have other people that you bring in, and this comes when you want to grow the company, you bring in a junior partner, whatever, you know, there needs to be an organization that allows fair and just rewards. That's something that needs to be incorporated in your articles or the way that you organize your office, because address it early and not later. Because one of the things we don't realize, we always think that we're healthy forever. But, you know, the way we are in practice, there'll be a point when we might not be able to run the office and we have to depend on our fellow directors. And what happens then? Is there a structure in your organization that allows fair and just equity to the person that's running the office when you can't run the office? So these are some of the pitfalls that you come to as you grow your business forward, something that you need to manage. We've got 15 minutes. I think this is one of the most efficient talks that I've done. We're actually running on schedule. Is there any more questions from the floor? I think we're getting some good questions. I hope we can continue. Maybe 2 more questions before we adjourn. Anybody? All you young practitioners and you disillusioned old fogies can ask questions too. How about the panel? Is there anything that you'd like to raise before we close? In closing, anything you want to say? Oh, we have a question there.
Actually, I want to ask. I guess when you started up, you talked about being at Starbucks, being at the library, and then now I guess you got some projects and maybe a bit more stable. Currently, your office, there's some of you in like home offices or still at home or whatever, no, or co-working spaces. What's your advice for like deciding where to set up? Is it based on location? Is it being prime, somewhere prime at center so you can find clients very easy or something, or is it the priority is the cost? Which one's the cheapest?
Cheapest definitely, and then we also looking into where it's convenient to get staff, whether it's near university, get interns, near a plotter, a printer. which we can go conveniently, and somewhere there is no jam or doesn't cause a burden for people to come and work. Or, for example, expensive parking. So things like that. Or the way we are operating, we are sharing with a friend. And the reason we got the place is already built up. So I don't have to spend a big chunk of money initially to fix up the place. So we just pick a unit with a nice view.
I think looking for a place with good public transport actually affects the hiring of not the senior staff but some of the admin staff and all, because it's important that they can come to work very cheaply. And the other thing that I think is affecting the industry is this travel time. Even I'm experiencing people who want to leave because they can't handle traveling to the office. But the problem with that is there's no right place, because if you find the right place for one staff, it will be too far from another staff. So the best answer I can think of is really to find a place where it's close to public transport. At least if they can't drive to work, at least there is opportunity to use MRT or LRT to come to work. It's also important if as you want to get people to come and work for you.
Yes.
To add to that, whether to have office or not, I think it depends on what kind of client are you dealing with, because to share my experience, we were started at home, and then we ran an office, just a quarter of that office space, so we can squeeze 4 people in the office with 1 small meeting rooms. But then when as the job getting bigger, the client wanted to visit our office. With the limited money that we have at that time, what we can do is only just repaint the office, to make it look fresher. Yeah. So, but the turning point was we decided to get a complete office, and we do our own, because to cater the client requirement as well. I see. Yeah.
Just one question, Hugh here. So since we are talking about future planning, so at a bigger picture, we know that globalization is happening. And I think our country is having a lot of free trade agreements, which foreign designer can come in. Of course, you can also go out. So do you think that this is actually a threat or opportunities for you moving forward?
Sorry? Foreign architects.
Yeah, foreign can come in, you can also go out.
Yes.
So with this flexibility or kind of opportunity, do you think this is a threat or opportunities to your?
Personally, I accepted the open market concept because our country already signed multiple free trade agreements. Now we join BRICS. So our border and our market is open. So we just have to accept that and compete with them. Since the very beginning, we don't have time yet, but we want to compete. I think we need to think in a way to project outward as well. So one thing that I have been talking among colleagues is the Malaysian Pavilion in Osaka next year. I don't have a problem with Kengo Kumar doing the pavilion. It's the lack of space for local to even participate. And also, I'm encouraging students to open their worldview. We are no longer a closed market or a small nation. We are projecting outward. And next year, we are the chair of ASEAN. So I think architects ourselves, we need to project outward. Indonesian architects are doing exhibition here. Thai architects are doing exhibition here. So there will be an exhibition in KL by Indonesian next month. So we should be doing the same. It's not, I don't see it as the threat definitely, but we need to compete.
But that's beyond practice. That's up to even people like PAM, for example, or Matrade, or some of the government organizations must also fight our cause and help us to project ourselves outside of the country.
I don't see it that way. We can't always rely on government. We can't always rely on government because there are more facility or platform for us now to project ourselves outward. If we are only waiting for PAM or the government market, it won't happen. To me, I think it's never. The Malaysian Pavilion is a good example. We have been joining Malaysian Pavilion since 1970s. How many times there's a proper competition? Not yet, right? None, right? For how many years? 50 years. For 50 years. And from what I know, they are, for the past 50 years, they have been throwing the project around in different ministry. This round is this ministry A, ministry B, and then each minister don't think it's a important project. Okay, the trade is a trade show. So we need to be speaking out in whatever platform we have. So, and Singapore architects have been coming in here, Australian architects. So we can compete here or we can compete with them in a wider arena. I think that's something we need to think.
And I think that's when I spoke about merging. We consolidate ourselves here so that we project a much stronger force outside of the country. Because just finding work in Malaysia is effectively looking at the idiom of putting all your eggs in one basket.
True.
There will be a point when there will be limit about, we are in a profession where the resources are reducing. There's limitations on land. Eventually there'll be, not much left to build. But what we're not doing is we're not consolidating to then project our knowledge outside of the country.
Yeah.
I was working with Keppel before, and what's very clever with Singapore is one of the reasons why Singapore practices grow very quickly is because they get work outside of the country. How they do it is because Keppel, when they go into a project, let's say for example South China, in southern part of China in Shenzhen, they go in as a conglomerate.
Yes, yes.
So they go in on the G2G level, they go in on the banking level, they go in on the project management level, they go in on the consultancy level, they go in on the tenancy level, they go in on the the maintenance level. So they power everything. And the architects that they bring with them are immediately brought from Singapore to then now have work in places like Shenzhen and Guangdong. Because they're part of the consortium, I find our own JLCs are not helping us at all. That's one of the ways we have to project our knowledge. I think Malaysian architects are very good, by the way. We have so much talent here, but we're very limited by opportunity, and we can always do so much as practices, but to break that barrier to go abroad needs help. I have to admit, we need help. You can't go on your own. It's very difficult. And
what I mean is we need to pressure our...
Oh, yeah, completely. Yeah.
On our own.
Absolutely. Malaysia Madani. So definitely.
But I think I want to share a story about a WC. Everyone know about Regal, right? Regal is Singapore brand.
Regal, the WC, the toilet.
Yeah. So Regal actually got funding from Singapore government because they realized, hey, I got Keppel, I got Capital Land, I got all these Singaporean developer building all over the place using Japanese Toto.
Yeah.
So they set up a brand, give them a big grant, open a research center in Changi. You go use Regal everywhere.
So it's leveraging. So what they've done, they've leveraged their projects, which they are funding, and they're putting their own brands as a promotion. So that's exactly what I mean with Singapore. Their model is quite total, very holistic.
And I think there's one more concept on spending. Okay, I did some study on some of the overseas architects. I'm not saying I'm going to do like them. There's another concept of entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship means you are building a business outward. There's another concept of building business within an existing ecosystem. So if you look at some of the bigger firms, okay, we go for the more reputable one. For example, OMA, or those who left are the junior partner. The senior one, they don't really left. If you see, if you notice, MVRDV, most of them are still there. Even GDP, most of them are still there. So I think this is something we need to, we can think on a larger scale, on a smaller scale as well. Like what you say, how do we give equity and personal brand to younger people.
One last opportunity before I close. Anybody else wants to ask the question? Yes. Can we have the mic, please?
Hi. Yeah, I really appreciate this kind of talk being done by PAM, because there's not much opportunity talking about business in architecture, especially in unis, especially where they learn design, and then they come out to business and they get culture shocked, and then after that followed by when they want to set up their own practice, they get even more culture shocked. So whenever because I do work with lecturers as well, and then they ask me the question, should I put business in my syllabus? So I would like to look at what you guys' perspective, like should we be teaching the younger generation business in school, or how do we incorporate this business of architecture within the younger generation?
Anybody?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, to have like even just introduction on the business aspect of architecture in the architecture school, because back then when we were in architecture school, it's purely studio. Even other subjects is secondary. So I think it's time now where you can start promoting business as architecture and overall business process, like getting registration done, slightly a bit more on the tax session and stuff, So at least we are not totally culture shock when we start our business. Yeah. I think just introduction is good enough for the architecture students, for them to know.
I have a different opinion. I think basic will to know what is architecture practice will do, because you can't really teach business. Even in business school, why some certain business school are so more prominent, it's not about the syllabus. They go there for the connection.
Yeah.
Why people go to Walton, why people go do EM, BA in certain school.
If you ask me, I think basic business knowledge is necessary, but you must distinguish entrepreneurship and business knowledge. What you can teach in schools is just the framework of the legalities of doing business, issues of employment, taxation, how to get in funding. I think probably a 2-semester module is enough to cover that. At least the students come up with an understanding of what it's like to become a business person eventually.
Yeah, I think the most important thing, because I told the lecturers as well, the most important thing is they need to teach the students how to market themselves. And I think that's very lacking in the new generation. When they come out, they don't even know how to market themselves for me to hire them.
I think, okay, my opinion is I think architecture school should focus on the fundamental of architecture.
Yeah, I think that's a bit too far. If you ask me, you don't need to market yourself as an undergraduate going out to it's asking a bit too much of the time that you have in university, because you can get distracted.
Okay, maybe put it this way, in order for us, like without the culture shock, when you are coming out on your own, right? I suggest that whoever think of I think everyone everyone have a goal to like come out on your own eventually someday. But before you come out on your own, I suggest that I think you need to go up to the stage whereby the management level to understand the finances of the, how is your bosses like run the business, then steal the knowledge from there before you come out.
Yeah. I think in closing, I can say this: the people that you see in front of you today are not here by chance. They've got ambition, they've got drive, they've got desire, and they've got a lot of clarity in terms of what they want to get. Not everybody can run their own practice. If you're not ready, don't. Just be employed. It's okay. It's not an issue. It's not an issue to be employed. Yeah, you're going to have a burnout. Take 3 months off. Find another job in another office. There's enough people right now who are not in the industry that if you take time off, you will probably be hired again. Why do you want to start your own practice? The desire to start your own practice is deep inside of you because you want to leave a legacy. At the end of the day, I'm quite sure you ask all of them, what they want to do is, by the time they leave this world, they would have a building that can say, that's mine. I didn't build it with my old boss, I didn't build it under somebody else. It's because that's my effort, I managed to build it. I think that's probably one of the biggest drives that somebody who's working has to then move on to being in practice. Anyway, I'm supposed to close up. Thank you, everyone. So we started off the journey this morning, venturing into the unknown. I hope by now we are venturing into a little bit known. We can eventually venture into the full known at the end of your own careers, because I think architecture is a very long journey. We all take a different route to get where we want to get to. Thank you so much to all the panelists. I mean, I hope it's been interesting. I don't know. I mean, I hope it's been interesting. I hope we managed to ask or answer questions that you might have. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Thank you for contributing today. Is it? Yeah, okay, please have a round of applause.